Hello and welcome back to Dragon of Icespire Peak, Session 3. Does someone want to sum up for me what happened last time? Hannah. Tom always gets to do this, so it's Hannah's turn.
Hannah can't remember. It was on the other day.
No, exactly. That's why you should be able to remember.
We were in that town. We went and talked to the town master. I can't remember his name either. And we went to do a mission. And we went to a cave, defeated some jellies, and defeated some orcs. And that's it.
I mean, yeah, pretty much. Well, I have quite handily, so you guys don't forget stuff. I've put a quest tab in under your player character thing. I've also put a rumor tab in as well. The stuff you've like overheard other people talking about, perhaps, and stuff like that. So that should help you keep track of what quests you've got. Because there's some quests I'm not going to prompt you towards, and they're just purely well, not side stuff, the stuff that could be there that's useful, but the stuff that you guys, well, if you want to do them, it's your initiative sort of thing. Anyway, let's jump right in. So you are currently at the Dwarven Excavation at the site of, if I remember correctly, the name of it is didn't even have a name on the quest thing, so it's just Dwarven Excavation. Basically an ancient dwarven ruins in the mountains southwest. You've just finished off the Orcs. Would there be anything you guys would want to say to the remaining dwarf excavators you met there, or would you simply sort of say your goodbyes, make sure they're safe, and head out? Would you consider resting here at this location?
Depends on time of day, but we have warned them about the dragon, haven't we? So there's not much we can do unless if they want to stay, you know.
Yeah, they want it. I mean, they're being paid to be there, so
yeah.
It took you. It was about 17 miles. So it took me 5 hours to get there. I think you left quite early in the morning, probably about 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock. So I think it was about, 2 or 3 when you were about to leave. Because you did spend like more time searching for secret entrances and stuff, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, we did a fair few.
You could head back now. It would be another 5 hours of travel though, so you would 2 of those hours you would risk going to exhaustion. So you could rest here first if you prefer, and then head back in the morning.
Where do the dwarves sleep? Is there much in the way of bed area?
They'd have like a pretty small camp set up, like just within the walls probably. They just have like a 2-person tent, probably just for them two, with some like supplies and a little campfire.
Good. Time to hide that a bit better. But 5 hours. Yeah, I'd say should probably say stay.
Yeah, you want to stay?
Well, if everyone else agrees.
I was thinking head back.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think even if we catch 2 points of exhaustion, that's unfortunate, but it's not that likely. And if we catch 1, we sleep it off afterwards anyhow.
It's true. I was just thinking of it more in the perspective of, well, we just fought some damn jellies and there's a bunch of orcs around.
That's true.
But yeah, either way.
Yeah, which guy would you prefer to do?
Well, we can try going back if that's the preference. Yeah.
Okay, so you're going to head back this evening rather than risk staying another night and suffering the lovely and wondrous personality of of Norbus for another evening. So you do head back out onto the road. Let me move you over to the map quickly. So you are at the Dwarven Excavation site currently, so it is another 17 miles back to Fandlin, thereabouts. So it will take you 5 hours. For each hour, I'm going to need someone to roll a d20 for me. So we've got, we'll start, do 3 rolls first, because then we'll start getting into the exhaustion rolls.
Okay.
I did it last time. Your turn, Hannah.
What roll was it again?
So
D20?
Just a standard d20, just 3 of them, one after another.
Okay.
Okay. So let me quickly something. Quite a mountainous region still in that first hour, to be honest. Can you roll me a d4, Hannah? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4, okay. And then could you please roll, either one of you, roll me a d100.
Okay. 68.
68. Okay. So, not long after you leave the safety of the excavation where you're watching over, can each of you do a perception check to see who notices this?
Are we doing one for the side kicks or no?
You can if you like, yeah. Let's quickly grab something. That would be
Hey.
that one's pretty good. Okay. Apologies, but I just quickly do something. Icespire Peak. There we go. And us. 16, a 7, a 1, and a 13. Okay. So you spend maybe half an hour descending from the sort of climb up from this sort of down, like almost like a slope. It starts off as going down into like a deeper canyon and then heading back up into sort of not directly mountainous terrain, but kind of low mountainous terrain where there's lots of like exposed rocks and very much the sort of transition period between mountain and grassland. And let me quickly do a couple of rolls. Okay. The only one who doesn't spot them at a distance, maybe 300 feet away, would obviously be Sapphire with that one perception. At a very far distance, the rest of you spot 5 orcs who look like they are sort of trekking down from like further up into the mountains. It's the way you're currently doing is moving through like a mountain pass where you're sort of lower in the terrain. They are higher in the terrain and are sort of moving down the mountain as if they're coming towards the grasslands. They don't seem to have noticed you yet. What do you want to do?
Oh.
Well, point them out to Sapphire straight away.
Oh yeah.
And who's pointing them out? Like, in what way are you pointing them out?
Madria would place a gentle hand on Sapphire's shoulder and then, without speaking, just point over towards the orcs.
Oh, what's that? Oh, we're like full health, aren't we? I remember.
Your health currently, I can tell you, you are at... You are all at full health. You did all take a short rest, I believe.
It's because we leveled up, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, you are all at full health because you did take a short rest before you left. I'm pretty sure that is correct.
Nice.
How far away did you say? 300 feet?
Maybe 300 feet from where you currently are, yeah.
Is there anywhere to, like, hide around where we are?
I'd do a perception check for me. Or, no, or survival if you'd like, actually. Let's say survival. I think that makes a little bit more sense. What did you get?
4.
4. There's nothing like immediately obvious. There's a few rock outcroppings that you might be able to hide behind. Definitely not the maybe the most concealable thing. So it might make the DC slightly harder if they were to try and look for you.
Oh damn! They've got the high ground, guys. She's gonna whisper into everyone, ushering them over to these little rocks. Do they? Which direction are they heading? Do they look like they're going with a purpose? Do they look like a group of something, armed mercenaries or something?
I think with your perception check, it'd be hard to tell.
Yeah,
at 300 feet, they look like they're heading south. That's all I can say.
Okay.
Certainly out of the mountains, is what I will say.
Okay. South. Is that away from the Dwarven?
That is
it's
away from the mountains. They're heading sort of down from the mountains themselves.
So they're sort of coming this way then?
Same direction you're going, pretty much, yeah.
So they might be going to Fandolin?
Possibly. Certainly a possibility. They still don't seem to have noticed you at this current distance. You're pretty far. It wouldn't take much to sort of remain hidden as long as you stopped and let them pass. You could let them pass without too much of an issue. If you wanted to try and get closer, it would, you would require sort of stealth checks from you.
Turns to the group. She says, I don't know what to do. Should we deal with these orcs while we're here? They could be out for trouble.
Is there any way for us to know?
I don't know. Not without, asking them, I suppose. I'd say I've asked an orc for anything lately.
I can't do a northern voice today. I was trying to do Ruby's voice. I don't know about you, Sapphire, but I don't think I really want to be having a conversation with any orcs anytime soon.
No, me neither. That's why I was just wondering.
Nib sort of pipes up and is like, yeah, those we handled those last ones at the excavation site quite well, though. Right, Metrio?
Yes, they weren't too much of a problem.
We've seen orcs kill a lot of stuff, right? They quite often ambush people, right?
Do a history check. 9.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know the orcs are often much compared to bandits. They're scavengers often. They often sort of live in the wilds and are very hardy, like brutish people, very like barbarian folk. They live in tribes, and whilst they definitely do raid places. With a 9, you definitely think that sometimes it can take something to push them to do so. It really depends if they've got a source of food and things they need, then they might not even need to even bother people. But if something pushes them into needing to suddenly, after their resources fall thinner, then
I get what you're saying.
they will more likely be raiding folk, definitely.
So do they usually come out from where they live, generally, for no reason?
It really depends on which tribe we're talking about.
Okay.
They're pretty diverse people. Some tribes are pretty isolationist, others are much more aggressive. But the aggressive tribes tend to get wiped out often by groups of adventurers and roaming sort of guards and stuff like that, because an aggressive lifestyle usually leads in an aggressive death, unfortunately, unless you've got some of the really big clans. But those really big clans, like you probably have heard of the Icespire clan in the north. They're like a genuine threat to Neverwinter. They're so big. But apart from them, like, tribes in this area, pretty inconsequential.
Okay. Just reading the little rumour thing.
Yes.
Barthen said something about orc sightings.
He did indeed, yeah.
And an orc attack, so maybe it's worth dealing with them now.
Yeah.
And yeah, she would say that to Madriel and everyone.
What does Madriel think, Tom?
Yeah, Madriel's struggling with it a bit, because she doesn't particularly want to be harming folk. The orcs up at the temple are running straight at us and attacking us, but these guys are just walking along. But she isn't that well versed in the kind of norms and rules of the more rural countryside bits. She spent more time in cities and such, so she's very much deferring to Sapphire and Ruby, I think, in this instance. She's just kind of nodding along with Sapphire's thinking out loud and such.
Yeah, and I think Ruby's definitely the type to take charge in some situations, but in this situation, I think she's leaving it to see what Sapphire does, really.
Okay. Well, with all these rumours about orcs, potentially attacking folk, maybe taking a few out won't hurt their numbers anyway. Or we could just piss them off more. Cheat.
Certainly a possibility. I'll follow your lead. I can't do a northern accent today, fuck me. I'll follow your lead, Sapphire, but we could just let them pass. We have had more than our shake of we've had more than our shake of combat today, but I'm more than ready to swing a sword if needed.
I'm always ready, Ruby, but at the end of the day, we've already fought some orcs today. I just wonder where they're headed, if they're, if they encounter anyone along the road. Might not be a happy ending.
No, precisely, and Barthen said there was many dwarves coming into the lowlands to prey on individuals. If we can put a stop to that, then at least we can confront them, maybe.
Maybe we could try and divert them a different way, or send them back, perhaps. How would we do that, though?
Hey, we've certainly taken on that many orcs already, but no issue. Maybe we can intimidate them.
Yeah.
They're making quick pace, though. If we want to do something, we better hurry.
There's 4 of us, 5 of them. Think we got the numbers, Ruby? And she gives her a grin.
I think we've always got the numbers, dear. Just depends what we want to do. I'm all down for attacking some damn orcs if they're gonna cause trouble in Phandalin, but you know, we've got to. I'm down to whatever you think's right to do here, Sapphire.
I'm thinking about just heading back to Phandalin right now. If they're coming this way, then we'll soon meet them at the same place.
Right, you are. We'll keep our distance then. Sound good to you, little one? Keeper?
Yeah, fine by me, yeah. I think that's shows good temperance.
Maybe we can keep an eye on them from a distance, at least.
Yeah, see where they're headed.
So you push on for about another 2 hours. Are you keeping pace with these orcs?
Yeah, like quite a lot of distance though, I reckon.
Yeah, they're probably only moving about a normal pace themselves. I will say, over the course of 2 hours, can you make a group stealth check that includes the psychics for each hour as well? So there'll be a group stealth check for each hour, just to see if these orcs notice you.
Nice.
Let me roll for what they get.
Oh my days.
And this is the wrong one. No, it's not. It's the right one. Fixed it. So yeah, that's essentially that much.
Ruby's is at disadvantage as well. Hey.
Okay, so
There it is.
and we've got an 8. Okay, that first hour is definitely problematic. In the first hour, you're keeping pace, but the heavy armor, the clunking, you think is almost bound to get some attention at some point, and you think you see an orc almost tweak their head in your direction at some point. What do you do in the moment? Like, what do all of you do? You've clearly seen this all turn and begin to kind of look in your direction. Hasn't directly spotted you yet, but it's definitely sort of making waves. You've got a few seconds to
Jump in a
react.
bush.
Jump in a bush, okay? Madriel, what are you doing?
I think at this point, Madriel's just I think the choice is about to be taken away from us. We should brace ourselves.
Yeah.
She doesn't prepare a spell or anything, but she simply
Sort of standing her ground.
stands and waits. I think she'll put her mask on.
Okay. With that, then let's move over to this battle map. Do you want to put your tokens? I think it's a bit smaller than I thought. We'll say put your tokens at the very edge of the map, and I'll move these orcs slightly up. We'll say you managed to sort of close distance with them a little bit. We'll put them down here as well.
Whereabouts, sorry?
Just literally right at the bottom of the map. So with that, you do see as Madriel sort of just lowers her mask, and this orc suddenly starts making a fuss and pointing in your direction. It's clear that combat is inevitable at this point.
Yeah.
Okay, let us roll initiative, please, everyone.
Do we get our level 3 stuff, even though it's the same day?
Oh yeah,
Can't remember how we're doing it.
No, you all leveled up. That's absolutely fine. Yeah, you just don't get the way I always thought. You just don't get spell slots back. So
Okay.
you can access new spells, but you don't. necessarily, you won't necessarily haven't been able to prepare them yet, but if you're just learning them, then you're learning. Let's start rolling initiative. For these orcs, public initiative. That roll. There's 3 orcs, so we've got 4. And orc 5. I will say these orcs is probably more off the map than they would be. Let's say they're probably, I reckon, let's say their full movement 60 feet off the map. So I think, let me, sending order. Let's structure them up here. So I think these 3 would use all their movement to get to the edge of the map. Nib, what are you doing?
Nib. So they're just at the edge of the map now.
Yes.
We'll go. For some cover. So here. Firebolt. That one at the top right.
Yeah, make an attack roll for me.
Nib does firebolt. Pew!
Does fly wide, unfortunately. No. I would
And
say if Nib
ducks in.
behind here, she'd get like 3/4 cover.
Pew!
There is a
Massa?
ridge up here as well, I'd say, for them. It's probably about, not quite as high, probably about sort of 4 feet high. Sort of raising up. Ruby, it's Ruby's go.
Ruby, I think she's just gonna. I'm gonna just move up. Wait, how? Hold on. 25 foot, yep. Behind the rock.
Yep, she would be considered having sort of 3/4 cover there, I think.
Before she goes behind the cover, can she do a longbow attack?
She could probably just. I mean, if she's starting there.
Yeah, over here.
I'd say I'd probably give them half cover from that range because it's kind of a bit of an awkward shot to go over that. Actually, probably not actually, because that's only about 4 feet high. You could probably hit the ones on the right with like.
I mean, she's has to go past this rock as well, so.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
I think if you shot like Orc 5, then you could probably make it a normal shot when she originally started. She'd probably shoot and then run to the cover. Where did she start? Here.
I think it.
I thought it was in the middle, wasn't it?
It might be in the middle. I'm not sure.
Maybe it was Nib in the middle. I can't remember. You'd have to tell me.
I mean, either way, she can get to there.
If she was in the middle, she could take a shot at Orc 5, I'd say.
I can't remember.
Roll for it. 1, 2, she's there. 3, 4, she's to the right. Yeah, so she's to the right, actually. So I would say that it'd be pretty hard for her to hit any of them easily. I'd give Orc, from that position, Orc 2 and 5 probably get like 3/4 cover because she's making a really awkward shot.
Yeah.
In fact, I'd say the only one she'd really aim for is Orc 2, and I'd probably give him 3/4 cover.
Okay. I'm gonna do it still. 18.
Just hits.
No.
3/4 cover.
Nice.
5 points of piercing damage. As the arrow flies through the air, she almost like Ruby just instinctively pulls out her longbow, like fires up into the air and just keeps running towards cover. And the shot just shoom, and just fires into the upper thigh of this orc. Orc 3 and Orc 5 are both going to use their max movement to get to the map. Sapphire, it's your go.
Sapphire is... How far does a crossbow go? A light crossbow, 80 foot. Yeah, it's going to be disadvantage then, and cover. Ugh.
Depending on how you do it. I mean, if you were to move out, say, on this side, to, like, that, you could probably hit Orc 5 and 3 without them having significant cover. It was more where Ruby was from, because she'd have to move out, and then she could have moved out on him, but she didn't.
Yeah. No, she's just going to run up next to, run up behind Nib, over here.
Yeah.
Yep.
And not going to take a shot or anything?
Yeah, she is going to, yeah.
It's a disadvantage for the range. 12 does miss, unfortunately.
It's alright. Yep, that's it.
Madriel, it's your go.
Madriel.
I'm gonna say they're supposed to swap to melee as well after they shoot a
Yeah, that's fine.
range.
That's sort of a free action on your turn if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
Madriel. He's gonna cast Create Bonfire right there.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, very nice.
And move behind the rock. That's my turn.
Pour myself a drink. Let's get to Orc number 2. This Orc is going to run up sort of behind this cover that's giving him about half cover.
Mm-hmm.
And is going to attempt at this distance, which is 85 feet. Disadvantage. It's going to be a pretty hard shot, but it is going to aim for Nib, who does have 3/4 cover. So this is a hard shot for this Orc, to be honest. But he is going to chuck out a javelin.
Oh, there's a nat 20 in there, and the other one was a 19.
So it does hit Nib, who had 18 AC.
Can't even put disadvantage on it. Damn it!
For 6 points of piercing damage as the javelin flies true through the air and just catches Nib in the side of the arm, and sort of shrieks out in pain. The first real hit she's had. Maybe one of the worst hits she's maybe ever had since you started adventuring together, Madriel.
For sure.
It's quite a nasty sort of flesh wound as the sort of spear of the javelin sort of pierces through and kind of cuts through the skin of her arm. That is that Orc's go, who is really hunkering down behind there. Orc 4 is also going to do the same thing. Again, it's probably going to aim for Nib, and Nib is like the most sort of accessible target they can see, and seeing that their friend has already made the shot is a disadvantage again though, and 3/4 cover.
Oh.
It's a natural
Can
one.
I hang on.
Go ahead.
Hang on a minute. We're level 3. After on my turn. Carry on after on my turn.
Okay. That's fine. So that Orc does miss with a natural 1 at Nib.
Nice.
This Orc though is going to go 5, 10. It's going to spend 10 feet of movement climbing up here. 15 feet. 20, 25, 30.
Sneak.
Can use a bonus action. I think this is still towards you, so I'd count another 30 feet. They're aggressive, and really gets like a nice vantage point on you. Yeah, both. I'd say Madriel and Ruby still have 3/4 cover, but Nib and Sapphire are like wildly exposed now. This particular Orc. So Orcs are not. They're not stupid or the right. They're not the smartest though. So let's roll a wisdom check. If he rolls above a 10, then he's going to go for Nib. If he rolls below a 10, then he's going to go for Madriel. He's going to go for Nib. He does get disadvantage on this because of the range, I believe, though. It's, yeah, way beyond 30 feet. But no cover from this. An 11 does miss.
Oh!
Nib as the javelin flies wide and stabs into the rock next to it. It's a hard throw. That is the Orc's ghost, though. Nib is up next.
Oh, little Nib.
Mm.
I think a a scared firebolt.
Yeah, definitely makes sense.
Probably at the one that tried to shoot, or did shoot her. Pew!
That Orc would have half cover. But 15 still hits, even with half cover. Oh.
8 fire damage.
That Orc is absolutely blasted in the side of the face with a firebolt that just has scorched up the side of his face. He just like falls back to the floor and kind of drops his javelin and his hand axe to the floor and goes like holding his face and his eye. And you look up for a moment, and Sapphire, you just see this Orc's eye has just gone like his face is completely black and the eye's gone almost like white from the hit. It's really nasty. Ruby's go.
And I will move Nib back here.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Ruby is gonna dash up over here. Maybe not dash, actually. She can get up here. She's gonna go here for some cover from these ones up here.
Yep, she would definitely have I think she'd have like full cover from them. There's no way they're hitting her. Like that's like 40 to 50, if not even like higher. That section, like really, it's very steep, straight up cliff.
I think she would probably. Oh, what have you got else? You just got the longbow. She's just got the longbow. It'll have to just be another longbow.
Who's she aiming for? She's got the Orc
one
up
up
at
here.
the top. It's the only one she can really shoot actually from that place.
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it. He's got no cover. He's completely exposed up there. 16 does hit. Yeah.
4
points of piercing damage. Okay. Orc number 3 is going to move up to here. It's 10. Is that 10 or 15? It's 15 feet. I spend another 10, go up to 25 feet to go up to here, and then another 5 to get to there. And then he's going to bonus action aggressive, get to here. I mean, you can probably see Sapphire now, but I think Ruby is probably the more obvious target. There's a bit more threatening since she just shot out from there, so I think this Orc will throw a javelin at disadvantage. And 11
misses, yeah.
Clangs away off Ruby's armor, not even close. This 5th Orc. This 5th Orc is going to move up behind this Orc. He's going to grab him and throw him to the ground behind him, so this Orc is now prone. And this Orc is just going to take cover. That was his action to throw that guy to the ground behind him. Sapphire, it's your go.
What's he doing that? Is there any easy way up here from where we are?
Oh, not at all. Like these are
Not
really like sheer cliff face. I'd say up here it's probably about 30 feet up. But it's more around the back that you've managed to like climb up. It's the sort of, it really slopes down. Like here it's probably like 10 feet. But at this point it's really high. If you can see that. Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
The only easy way to climb up, you really think it's near Ruby, which is sort of like this route up here. You could get to this side, but on this side you'd really have to climb pretty sheer unless you were willing to run straight forward. So quite an awkward position you're in, to be honest.
Yeah, we're quite like not great. We've got one little rock.
You could probably run back off the map, and there would probably be a path, maybe like 40 feet back, where you could eventually climb up to here. But
that's quite far for some dwarf legs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Let's just do some crossbow action.
I think it's a disadvantage, right?
Yes.
Oh no, 65
No.
feet. No, it's not.
It's normal.
Straight shot. No cover for him either.
Oh, I'm not used to all this range stuff. So this is
No, it just clangs into the wall. The crossbow bolt, you aim high. You're kind of panicking, seeing Nib's arm just completely tore up next to you, and you kind of like falter the shot a little bit, and it just fires straight into the mountainside.
Yeah, she does actively try and like blockade Nib a bit though.
Yeah, if you were to move here, your best bet would be to cover Nib.
Okay.
You're straight in front of her then, who I'd say, based on Kieran's rules, would be like half cover, I believe. If they're taking a direct shot at Nib,
Yeah.
you're straight in the way. Nib's she's even shorter than you, so a pretty hard shot. Madriel, it is your go though.
Madriel is going to use her bonus action to give Nib 1d6 of healing light. 3. So Nib is back up to 12.
Very nice.
Oh, 11 even. And she'd say, there's no need to be too brave, Nib. Stay behind the bulwarks and cover.
Yes, keeper.
And then she will step out. And does this one have any cover or anything?
Oh, definitely not. He's so exposed up there.
Yeah, so that one is going to get guiding bolted.
Oh, very nice.
Madriel's not very happy that Nib got hurt.
Don't blame her.
Whoosh!
Oh, definitely hits. Roll that damage.
Oh my god. Chunky.
And Sapphire, so you see Madriel like in her fully donned mask now, but from beneath, it's like beneath the mask you see like the darkness that's sort of like keeping golden skin cracked from showing. As she places her hand on Nib's shoulder where this wound is, you see this like golden light channel through her fingers, and behind the mask it goes from a black darkness to suddenly this golden light, the eyes just shining golden as she does, and pumps this healing magic into Nib, and the wound just sort of stitches up before you almost. Before she sort of shoves you aside and almost like angrily, and then just like points her finger up towards this orc, and just this burst of like radiant energy just fires out towards this orc, who is hit so hard with this energy he just goes flying back 10 feet, taking an extra d6 damage, which is enough to kill him outright.
Oh,
Nice.
love it.
Yeah, and Madriel's gonna stay standing there.
Oh, don't remind me not to get you angry, eh?
The orc over here, like, stands up using half his movement, definitely sees that his friend's gone down, and just lets out this, none of you speak Orcish, so he just lets out this blood-curdling scream and begins charging as fast as he can towards you. That's the other half of his movement. He's got a bonus action, aggressive, to move 30 feet. 30, and then he's going to dash as well to get another 30 feet. But that's all he can do. This orc back here sort of lets out this huge grunting sort of aggressively towards this orc, and he is going to remain in his cover for now and just try and fire out. Got no cover now, so it's a good time for him to really throw a javelin. It is a disadvantage still. A 16 on you, Madriel.
Hits.
For... Fucking hell, the dice got stuck in the corner then. 5 points of piercing damage to you from this orc.
Impact is somewhat absorbed by the golden sheen of false life that she has across her.
Indeed. Let's quickly check something.
Oh, actually, and this
go
is as
on.
cool a time as any. So, for Madriel, I think this is her mask more than a talisman itself.
Mm.
But I took the Pact of the Talisman as a
Makes
warlock,
perfect sense to me.
and it's her mask, and she's wearing it. So when the wearer of your talisman is hit by an attack, oh wait, no, within 30 feet of you. Ignore me.
Okay.
We'll do that cool thing later.
Okay, so this orc up here, it's his go. He's going to do something pretty daring here. He's going to 5, 10, 15. He's going to jump 16 feet, because that is his strength score. Oh, it's beyond his strength score. So he is going to make an athletics check to see if he can jump the full way. I'm going to say it's pretty decent DC on this. It's not an easy jump. But this could just be the end of this guy. How's this? No. He crushes it. Seeing his allied friend just knocked down, he jumps the full 20 feet, lands there. So that he moves 15, and that's 20, which puts up to 35 with his bonus action to do this thing. So he's got another 25 feet. And he begins climbing up this steadily sloping sort of hill. Get all the way up here. He is completely like above you now and has 3/4 cover while he's up here, as he's almost like directly above you. And he's still is actually, so he's going to rain down a javelin at Madriel, and I believe he may even be within 30 feet of you now. It's not quite now. So it would be a disadvantage, but apologies. 12, I think, misses, right?
12 just misses.
Yeah,
Studded leather.
You see it just lands into the floor next to you, Madriel, this javelin, and yeah, it doesn't quite connect. Can I just say, rolling individually for the enemies for initiative is way more fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes you think more.
It does
Yeah.
make you think more. The battlefield kind of unfolds a bit more naturally. Nib, though, is Nib's go. This guy up here does have 3/4 cover, I will say that much.
Nib.
That's annoying.
Nib's been healed by Madriel. I think Nib's going to try for a big play. Nib steps out. 10 feet. He's going to send 1 magic missile at this guy.
Yep.
And 2 at this guy.
Very nice.
Let's see how it turns out.
First one is a 4, which wipes this. This guy is running directly at you, Madriel. Like, he's got like almost tears in his eyes coming from behind him as he just readies up his great axe and just running towards you, like blood almost dripping from his mouth as he does. And Nib just steps out from behind you, a small diminutive form, and just like channels her hand forward, one hand sort of raised up next to her head with her palm faced outwards, and almost just like a finger gun like towards this orc, just and fires the magic missile straight into him, which just clatters into his chest, and his own momentum just knocks him down to the floor and just smashes his head against the floor, and he skids like in front of you, just landing like
Nice.
here. And the second ones. Oh! Oh! And the fires. The second she just turns and points up in the sky this time. First finger, the index finger. Second finger, the one next to it. And fires up as 2 more bolts fly out. And this guy just like fire into sort of the almost like on him and the cliff next to him as some rocks just go flying up in the air. These little pebbles, and this orc is now just sort of like taking cover even more. He did not expect that. He's quite badly hurt now. Ruby, it is your go. This Nib takes cover once more.
Ruby. It's gonna... Can't really see anyone now apart from this guy up here. Unless she steps out. I think she's just gonna arrow this guy up here.
Yeah, he does. Actually, with Ruby's distance, she probably wouldn't have 3/4 cover. It's very high. I wouldn't even say Ruby's that angle. She's got the perfect angle on him, to be honest.
Okay.
No cover for him from that angle. 15
15.
hits. Yeah,
4.
and with that, and as the sort of pebbles fly up in the air, he kind of like stands up and waves his hands around for a moment, trying to steady his shot with his javelin, but he can't quite get the dirt out of his eyes before Ruby just whoop, steadies the longbow shot, shoots it back, and the arrow flies straightly directly into his chest, and his body just falls forward and it crashes into the ground.
Shit. Yep.
That is
She will
Ruby's.
move slightly up here, just a bit.
Orc 3 is dead, so we can remove him from the turn order. Orc 5, ooh, I can see a lot of his friends have gone down now. I'm going to make a wisdom check for this orc.
Yeah.
10 or lower, and he's probably going to go mad. Anything over, they're probably going to try and run.
Yeah.
In fact, I'd say 8 and lower, they probably... sorry, 12 or higher. They probably, go. You did get 12 or higher, so this one is going to try and run. So gets 30 feet off the map. Will dash. So he's so 10 feet off the map. So he's 40 feet currently off the map. I'll make a note of that quickly. Cool, and this orc here is not ready yet. So Sapphire, it's your go.
Sapphire switches to her warhammer, steps out, starts. She's gonna just go to here as a dash, and like nod to Ruby to like come next to her and try and intimidate these guys off. Now there's only 2 of them, so it's unlikely that they will go and attack Vanderbilt by themselves.
Madriel, it's your go.
Madriel. Join Sapphire. Yeah, she's just gonna do Sacred Flame.
Mickey Dake.
$14 deck save.
Deck save for this orc. Roll that. He got a 11, which does fail.
5 radiant damage.
As this Shazza, you see Madriel step up, the mask straight down, and again the eyes flash golden as she just like raises her hand up in the air, and from below him, he just kind of looks down for a second, and this radiant light just fires up in the air, catching him as he tries to dive out of the way, but gets caught in it.
Nice.
Orc 2 is dead, so we can take him off the map. Orc 4 is this one. I'm going to roll a wisdom check as well. 12 or lower, and he will keep fighting. Nope, he is running as well. He's going to go, so 20, so it's 10 feet off the map, then dash. So they're both 40 feet off the map currently. Orc 1 is dead. It is Nib's go.
Nib's pretty far. Five, 15, 20, 5. Ha! I think that guy is just on the edge of firebolt range.
Yeah, looks about right to me.
Where's his nib sheet?
Yeah, 80, 120 would definitely be on range. Does miss though, as the orc continues to run. Ruby, it's your go.
Just step next to Sapphire. Yeah, we were sniping before. We can snipe now. She'll just do a longbow attack.
On which orc?
Whichever one's closest.
They're both about the same distance.
The last one to run then.
The last one to run.
Yeah.
That would have been Orc 4.
Okay.
13 does hit.
Okay.
Ooh, 8 points of piercing damage. As you see, this Orc has just dropped his weapons now and is at full sprint, but an arrow flies through the air, stabbing him in the backside, causing him to like stumble over and try and catch his thing. He's like holding his leg now as like blood is kind of dripping down into his trousers. This Orc on the right though is going to continue running, so I'll put 40 feet on this one. This guy's now 100 feet. Full dash. Sapphire, it's your go.
Sapphire just stands there, wedges her shield into the ground. Well, I think I've had enough intimidation for today. You can all snipe him down if you want, but I don't think a party of 2 is going to be a threat to many.
Okay.
That's it.
Matrial, it's your go.
Yeah, Matrial. Sort of her posture softens. And she lets go of the concentration on the bonfire. And she says, I'm more worried about if they call back for more reinforcements but I'm glad we've potentially turned them away from Vandalin for now.
That's definitely a possibility. Though I think that was probably a possibility regardless of whether they return or not.
Yeah, Madrigal nods. Let's get to Vandalin.
Does one of you mind doing a favour for me, just for the recording, and see if you can move your tokens around for me? Let's see if it's picking up. Tell me if you are doing it, by the way, because I can't.
Yeah, I'm doing it.
Same.
Weird, it's not. For some reason, it's not picking it up on the recording. Now it is. Okay. Cool, I've got it now. Cool, thank you. It's a weird thing with the minimising of the second browser when I'm recording. Not my exact screen. It's a bit annoying.
Weird.
Anyway, so you're letting these orcs run, basically.
Yep.
Yeah, Sapphire's not chasing them with her short, stubby legs.
We will end combat.
We should see if they have anything on them, perhaps indicating an attack, or I can't speak Orcish, but maybe someone can.
Yeah,
Can I go search the
do
bodies?
an investigation check for me, Sapphire. 2.
Yeah.
Not good. You'd probably have to get help. You can see they've got javelins and great axes on them. Very basic weapons. They look quite rusted.
Can't move them over. They're very heavy.
I will say, without a check, you can see, because I need to start, because you were doing this in your one shot and I really liked it. You were just giving away information that doesn't require a check, and I need to start doing this more to be a better DM. One thing you notice immediately, so it doesn't really make any sense to Sapphire because you've got a 2, but you do notice that while they're carrying basic weaponry, very basic, they're wearing quite thick clothing, like winter clothing, and these orcs do seem to have injuries on them that aren't necessarily the ones you caused them. That's all I'll say, but you don't know where the injuries are from. You don't know, you don't know anything more than that. I will say also, could you roll for these 3 orcs? Assume that you would eventually investigate all 3 bodies, correct?
Yeah.
Could you roll me a D100?
Oh. Okay. 60.
60. Okay. Could you roll me 4d6?
Me? Just me?
Yeah, anyone, doesn't matter. And then tell me the result, because I'm not looking at chat.
2, 3, 1, 2 equals 8.
So you get 8 silver pieces scattered across the 3 bodies.
Nice even share. 2 each.
Right, you are.
Yeah, that's all I'll say notice is that they're clearly wounded, and some of the wounds look a little bit older than the rest of the wounds.
Hey, Madriel. Something of your interest, maybe? These wounds look a bit, old.
You can see that Madriel took off her mask as soon as the threat was gone, and they decided not to follow, and like immediately squatted down next to Nib. It's just like looking Nib in the eye to eye. It's just like, "Are you okay?"
Yeah, thanks to you, Madriel. That was scary. Those orcs were scary.
Yeah, it's a lot of things out there that can hurt. But, you're alive, you're here.
I'm okay. We keep going. This is what we do. To make the world a better place, like you said.
I think so too. She'd smile. And then Sapphire would say that. She'd give Nib a little squeeze the shoulder and stand up and head over.
Yeah, roll a medicine check for me, Madriel. I think Nib would come over and help you as well. She'd feel quite sort of inspired by that. A 24, Jesus.
24.
You can quite clearly see that these injuries are not that old, maybe a few days, if that, and they very specifically look like they were caused. They're like frostbite. They were caused by cold.
Okay.
They very much seem like they were caused by cold damage.
Yeah, you'd see Madriel working across the body, making little notes, and she'd look up at Sapphire and say, "It's pretty distinctive. These wounds were caused by extreme, focused cold."
I assume we don't know if there's any extreme cold weather around here.
Immediately,
Mountains,
Sapphire,
maybe?
you'd know that to the south, directly from where you basically come from, is the Sword Mountains. If you were to travel much further up into the Sword Mountains, they definitely get very cold up there, up towards the peaks. Do a nature check for me. It's quite a high DC for you. You're not the smartest tool machine.
Yep. 11.
No, you just think must have lived up in the mountains.
Well, I mean, there's mountains nearby. Maybe they came from there. A secluded area, I suppose. Dunno. Either that or these numpties have been sitting outside in the cold weather in winter, but that was a while ago. I assume it was a while ago anyway.
From what Madriel's told you, it looks like they were quite recent, the wounds, so...
Yeah.
Ruby sort of just like comes over and after sort of sitting aside, sort of puts her crossbow back, her longbow, back on her back and sort of bashes her shield, and she sort of says, "Ooh, the precious few strike again! The orcs couldn't even stand us!"
You didn't even need your shield that time, Ruby. Just whacking them with your longbow.
It's good practice for my aim.
Should have specialised in it, eh?
That's what my ma always said, but a dwarf is gonna fight with us. A sword and shield, that's just right, you know. Oh, you're alright, little one. Yeah, I saw you take quite a nasty wound there. If Madriel wasn't here with the healing magic, and Nib sort of looks up and is like, "Yeah, I'm fine. It's thanks to Madriel." He's like, "Oh, good, you're bound to take a wound here and there. It's all part of, they call it character building where I'm from."
Probably several, Nib. Your little bird's alright though, yeah? And she like ruffles Nib's hair a little bit.
Oh, yeah, Lil's fine. She knows how to hide when things go bad. You see the little goldfinch kind of pop out of Nib's like cloak and hood and sort of rests back on the shoulder, like shuffles out and kind of just flaps off her feathers quite a bit, and then sort of flies around her head, sort of almost like landing on Nib's head in different places and leaning over, almost like she's checking on her like an overprotective mother, like literal helicopter parent sort of thing.
Amazing. And what about you? What was that shot? That was pretty impressive to watch. I think your glowiness made it even look even more spectacular, you know? You need to get me some of that glow.
I am not sure how... Well, thank you. I am... It's a privilege to use my powers alongside such capable warriors.
Oh, well, thanks. Well, I felt a bit useless in that one, you know? Not used to the old crossbow that much.
Have to get you practicing with the longbow, won't we, Sapphire?
Oh,
Can't
that
have me
fiddly
being
thing.
old bullseye hammer whacker, they call me, after changing it to bow striker.
I'd rather you didn't. I don't know about a longbow for me, though, you know? It's all fiddly, thumbs and fingers and all that.
Well, it does the job.
It does. It does indeed. Well, have you found anything else on these guys? I can't see past all their, you know, weapons. Or shove them over, maybe. Get into the pockets.
What's wrong with them, Madriel? Looks like they've been cut open with something. Can't quite tell myself.
Something extremely cold. It could be magical, or perhaps some natural ability of a creature.
Yeah, do a nature check for me, Madriel. I feel like you're getting on the right path already. Even with even with a 6 for Madriel, you definitely think there's been dragon attacks. It's a fucking white dragon.
Yeah.
These orcs were clearly moving away from the mountains. You know orcs live in the mountains. Something big's going on. This obviously dragon is disrupting the fact that you start putting pieces together in your mind. Madriel's not stupid. She thinks, you know, orcs fleeing from the mountain, a manticore coming down that also tends to live in the mountains. Maybe this dragon's driving a lot of people out of the Sword Mountains. And with injuries like this,
I don't think we're the only ones being worried about the dragon's presence.
It just poses danger for everyone down here, though. Perhaps this dragon will need sorting out at some point by someone's hands. Perhaps. I don't know if we can fight the dragon there.
Could make for some potentially interesting alliances of convenience. We could convince the orcs to fight against the dragon, take back their home.
Perhaps. I don't know. No orcs to be the cooperating kind, though.
always worth a shot, ain't it?
Suppose it could be.
If they try to mess with us after the negotiations go sour, then, well, we'll just send them running again, won't we, Sapphire?
I mean, I suppose that's true. We've seen them off so far.
Precisely. Well, we better get back on the road, I think.
I think you're right. Let's get going. As long as you're all good for it.
Yes, I think so.
Right, so,
Alright.
Unless you have anything else to do here,
I think so.
you begin your travel back onto the road, and let me actually put out a marker. I probably should have made a token for your thing between sessions, but I didn't because I'm Natalie and I don't remember to do anything. So you've got another sort of 3 hours to travel back to, 2 hours to travel back to Phandalin. However, you are making exhaustion checks. So I will require exhaustion checks from not only you, Constitution saving throws. I believe the DC, if I'm not mistaken, is 10. But let me double check. Travel. travel 8 hours and push one at a risk of exhaustion. For each hour of travel, the correct DC 10 plus the number of hours. So it'd be 11 would be the first DC. So Constitution saves for everyone. Sapphire, you're absolutely fine. Ruby's absolutely fine. So just need
Constitution.
Madriel and Nib. Oh, Madriel does take 1 point of exhaustion.
Got it.
And Nib also takes a point of exhaustion.
Got it.
Extra hour. So this, and then finally, that extra last hour you're pushing onto Fandon. I need another set of Constitution saving throws. This time the DC is 12. Ruby and fucking Sapphire cannot be stopped. Yeah, Ruby, Sapphire just makes it. Madriel also makes it, and then Nib finally.
Oh, little Nib.
She is a halfling. She rerolls natural ones.
Oh, great catch. Hey.
Classic halfling. So only 1 point of exhaustion for Madriel and for Nib.
Cool.
So, as it comes to late evening, you slowly start making your way back into the little frontier town of Phandalin. Let me just music fun. So you make your way, sort of winding your way through the outer farm fields, seeing a few people sort of, a few farmers kind of packing away for the end of the day, calling. Maybe like a sheepdog runs a flock of sheep into a nearby barn, and you see a farmer being sort of clapping his hands wildly, trying to sort of gesture and sort of shepherd a bunch of pigs that are quite like sort of frustratingly kind of getting to their feet out of their slop in the mud and sort of trudging their way back towards their pens for the evening. And you make your way back across these paths, back through familiar territory into sort of the very, at this time of day, the sleepy town of Phandalin. You do notice as you're passing, Barthen is outside with the Thistle and Ander outside. Sort of, they seem like they're packing up some quite sort of quite like big order of something. They look like they're sort of, they've got like a big, like an ox is sitting there, and there's like a big wagon with sort of barrels on top, sort of like even some of them are sort of overflowing slightly. There's like dried meats and blocks of cheese that you can see that are some of them. There's like big casks of ale and sort of little flasks of oil that are all sort of strapping down. And Barthen said, hello, adventurers. Navy and Red, was it? And other friends. Nice.
It was.
Nice to see you're not dead on the road.
Oh, not quite. Nice to see you've got an order in.
Oh yes, we're actually considering you should check over with the townsmaster. Well, he's we're actually trying to get this up to the old loggers camp up north of here.
You're not worried about the orcs and all that?
Well, of course, the orcs and news of a dragon, quite scary times, really. But a man's always got to make sure that the business runs as normal, as you say.
I mean, that's true.
And these, this wood's got on. We've got lots of supplies for the loggers camp there, and that. If they don't have supplies and they can't cut wood, and if they can't cut wood, well, they can't send it to Neverwinter, and, well, you know what sort of state Neverwinter's in these days.
Oh, yeah,
if some kind of disaster were to happen the next 5 years, then it would be awful.
Oh, it certainly would be. All the trades would be stopping, wouldn't they?
Quite, yes. Well, it's actually old Harbin Wester, the new townsmaster. His brother, I think, runs the loggers camp there. That's what he's told me anyway, and I really rate this Harbin Wester. I think he's going to be next big thing around here, you see. And well, if his brother runs the place, he must be even greater than him, really.
He's a piece of something, let's say that at least.
But we got to make sure it's quite difficult. That's why we usually employ adventurers to make this kind of trip, because it has to go safely through the Neverwinter Wood. Quite a dangerous mission, so you're quite capable adventurers yourselves. I imagine if you're looking for work, then I think Harbin's offering a hefty little sum, I believe. I believe a total of, if I'm not correct, 100 gold pieces to make sure the old delivery is delivered correctly.
Do we know where that is? Would it take quite a long time?
Oh, well, the loggers' camp is deep in the Neverwinter Wood, along the river that flows west towards Neverwinter. From here, you're looking about, let me my old brain think. You're looking... Oh, well, you have to travel along the thing. You could stop in Neverwinter along the way if you wanted to travel the high road. That's the way I would probably do it. You're looking at 125 miles, so you're looking at 125 divided by 30. Looking at about a 4 days travel. But it depends, you could cut across the grasslands.
I'm just thinking that's quite the ways, when there's orcs and dragons about.
It's true. Might only cost you maybe... You could cut straight up through the Neverwinter Wood if you want. That would make it maybe into a 55-mile journey. Only take you a couple of days then, but well, like I said, this is why we get adventurers to do it quickly.
We'll consider it. Thank you, Bartham.
That's alright. Well, you enjoy the rest of your evening, and this baby hopefully will get someone to take it out by the morrow. No offers yet, though. Still waiting. People always pass through Vandalay looking for money, though. There's always adventurers about. If not, we'll have to get old Marlin to take it up the road.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, we'll let you know in the morning, or maybe later tonight. We'll see. We'll talk about it. We'll think about it.
Yeah,
see you later.
Yeah, see you later. Have a good day, Navy.
Navy. Maybe I should change my name to Navy. What do you think, Ruby?
I don't know, Sapphire. I think I'd stick with Sapphire personally. You want to be named after a nice jewel, not after a pair of jeans.
Oh, well, that's true. That's a good reminder.
So you make your way back into town. Like I said, it's very sleepy at this point. There is quite a lot of noise at the inn. It's definitely a little bit louder than usual at the inn, more than you might expect otherwise. But otherwise it's fairly quiet. It's quite a sleepy little town at the end of the day. You see Lenen from the Lion Shield Costa kind of gives you a sort of wave as she sort of takes the sign and kind of puts it back inside the thing. You see the big half-orc standing outside. Old Egbert kind of just sort of stares you down with an intense, gruff look upon his face. You're back in Fandlin. What do you want to do?
It's quite late now, right? Because we went on for longer.
It's about 8 p.m. It's definitely late.
Well, if I'm no old people, that old guy in the townsmaster's probably gone to sleep by now. Maybe we should just go to the tavern. We can talk to him in the morning.
I think that's a good idea. You get to share some drinks and some joy like we did before.
Certainly, my favourite part of the day, usually.
Okay, so you Nib smiles up at both of you as you say that, and you make your way inside the tavern as you do, and it's... Let me actually get some better music. I've been meaning to get better music this whole time. The ambience is
as they go in, Sapphire's rummaging her pockets again, and she's like, "Oh, well, lucky we found that 2 gold, eh?"
All right, you are, Sapphire. Let me quickly add this to the game, because the tavern ambience sucks. There we go, that's so much better. Oh, love. There was a fucking fabled, I don't know if you remember that on Xbox 360, there was a when Fable 2 came out, there was a arcade version of the pub games, like mini games thing, and that game had the best soundtrack for tavern music. This is one of the songs from it. Oh, love that game. Anyway, you make your way back inside the Stonehill Inn. The tables are practically full this evening, as many of the citizens of Phandalin have completely surrounded the tables and made quite a night. You think it's getting close to the end of a 10 days, so people are really sort of packing it in for the week, and are really starting to sort of enjoy themselves as best they can in these troubled times. The Toblin, as you come in, immediately just sort of looks up and he's like, "Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How goes it on this fine eve?"
Oh, pretty good. Eventful day, as we usually do, eh?
Right you are, Sapphire. We fought off quite a handful of orcs, it must be said. Oh, orcs, sir, is it? Oh, well, you've done quite the job of it, then.
Well, indeed. Well, it's actually a bit of a breeze with these two on our side. And she motions toward Madriel and Nib.
Well, they say sometimes two strangers added to two fine dwarven women like yourselves. Well, these strangers, you seem to make up quite the party, if you don't mind me saying.
Oh, I agree. I don't think we've ever had it so easy, to be honest.
We've decided to call ourselves the Precious Few.
The Precious Few.
Indeed we have.
I like that a lot. I'll definitely be. God, Arnia's adding the perfect tavern atmosphere. It's great.
It's got a chocolate in there.
I like that name a lot, I have to say. The Precious Few, it definitely suits you.
I think so. Suits all of our colours too. Gold and...
It's always good to have a name as well, I must say. We get so many adventurers coming through here. I'm always keen to, always keen to get a name behind the different faces. It's the way you, well, quite literally make a name for yourself, I suppose.
Well, exactly. And, our reputation will certainly remember the name.
Ah, and that I will. Can I get you anything at all?
I'll just have the usual Toblin. I'm assuming these guys too.
Thank you.
Yes, so there'll be 4 silver pieces for a round of drinks. And are you staying for the evening again at all? Do you know?
I think we will. Just the one room again, I think.
Okie doke.
Worked out pretty good last time.
Let's say 5 silver pieces altogether then.
Do it on me this time, Toblin.
Oh, thank you, Sapphire. Appreciate it. And please find yourselves a table if you can. It's nice to see the place so busy, especially in times like these. Word was there was a sighting of the dragon once more, not far north from here on the Tribor Trail.
Oh, seen again? Is that why everyone's come here?
Well, I think everyone's had a long week of it. A lot of anxiety and a lot of there's talks of orcs coming down from the mountains. Yeah, not a lot of people are thinking of picking up and leaving for Neverwinter. But well,
I mean, I wouldn't blame them.
Well, that's not exactly got its after the eruption, it's not exactly got its the best place to live right now. Even people are considering moving to Waterdeep, but then you're really living in the slums there, aren't you?
I suppose so. Those without the dosh to do so.
Exactly. If you're not got the coin in Waterdeep, then you're really living in the slums. Place I heard of, the Skewered Dragon. Yeah, nasty place. Wouldn't want to run it.
Certainly not. It's got a reputation for itself, hey?
Right. Anyway,
well,
I'll bring your drinks over, please. Anything to eat? I'll get you a round of food as well. 4 silver pieces.
Well, that would be good, yeah. Do it on me again.
Oh, brilliant. We've got a nice lamb stew on the go. The old Alderley farm. They've got they've got a new stock of lamb in at the moment.
Sounds good. Slap it on me. Don't forget a little bit extra side, maybe, of a bit of extra lamb. She winks at him.
I've got anything for you, Sapphire. And the precious few, I'll remember that. So you
Make sure you do, and shout it out loud.
and he winks it, and he's like, "To the precious few." And
Holds a drink up.
no one seems to pay much attention, to be honest.
Yeah, that's fair.
But there is one figure within the inn that does sort of strike your fancy. Can each of you do perception checks for me?
Ooh.
Just to see if you notice this guy.
6.
Well,
Madrio, it doesn't particularly catch your eye. These are all quite... You're more used to sort of city folk in general. Oh, maybe it would be a lower DC for you, actually, because you are more a city. I think you would, actually, then, considering I would probably lower the DC for you. Considering you're in a city folk. You see a big man. He is very dark-skinned. He wears a sort of 10-gallon hat with sort of bones protruding out the sort of front of it in a decorative fashion. He's got sort of bushy white hair under the hat that kind of comes around to a like bushy white chin strap. He's got like a hooped earring in each ear, and he wears like a big leather duster, and he kind of sits back there, his legs crossed, and he's got an ale in one hand with a whilst he's got a toothpick between his teeth, and he kind of sits there looking back, very definitely out of place. Sapphire, since you've been in Fandling quite a lot, you don't recognise this man at all. Keeper, he just catches your attention based off his kind of like very much charismatic sort of posture.
Is he sitting with anyone?
No, he's quite noticeably sitting alone off to the side. Off to the side of Toblin's, there is like there's lots of benches within the Stonehill Inn, but there's also like a set to the side where there'd be like a higher area of like table attached to the wall that you might see with like stools that people might sit on. It's probably the most empty section where you'll probably be sitting tonight, and he's kind of sitting on the far end of that.
Madriel would lean down next to Nib, just say, "Nib, I don't suppose Lil would be feeling up for our usual little test we do?"
Yeah. I'm sure she would.
That man over there is quite intriguing. Be interesting to see how he reacts to Lil.
But I can send her over if you want.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, she kind of like, "There's Lil, do you mind going over to that man over there?" And kind of like gives her a little gesture. And Lil kind of twitters about suddenly and then flies across the inn. There's a few sort of fat drunken patrons that sort of point out like, "Oh, bird!" And the little kind of like flutters over and lands next to this man who sort of looks down at the little bird and sort of just puts his finger on the table and allows Lil to sort of jump on it, and he kind of like holds her up and sort of examines her closely and is just sort of like, and then sort of like gestures for her to sort of fly off, and she kind of flies back to Nib's shoulder and just kind of seems sort of quite relaxed and quite chilled about it.
Well, it's a good sign that Lil seems relaxed. Have you two seen this man before?
I don't recall. She like looks over to Toblin. Is he looking?
Toblin's very busy. He's serving people directly, but if you went and approached the bar and sort of got his attention, then you could definitely get his attention.
Let me go ask Toblin. Maybe he knows. He's got a clue. Usually knows most folk around here.
Yeah, Toblin's serving like this older gentleman, kind of like very big, thick beard, kind of like hair like sort of strapped back slightly into a sort of like little ponytail, wearing quite sort of like almost fancy the regalia, kind of sitting there. Yourself, Sapphire, you can tell this man sitting at the stall stands out to you a little bit. It definitely looks like a combatant almost. But Toblin just sort of like serves him a drink, and you can see that Toblin, after sort of getting your attention, he kind of just looks to you, Sapphire, and is like, "Oh, what can I get you, Sapphire?"
Oh, nothing right now, Toblin. Just wondering if you knew who that guy was over there. And she sort of motions towards him.
Oh, he's new in town. Just goes by the name Raskin, as far as I'm aware. Don't know much about
Raskin,
him.
eh?
Looks like a bit of an adventurer, maybe.
Perhaps. Wonder what he's doing here.
Well, adventurers always pass through Phandalin. We're the centre for adventure, I like to say. That's what I'm thinking of putting that above the inn.
Suppose so. Do him around for me, Toblin, when he next comes over.
Of course, 2 silver, if you don't mind, Sapphire.
Yeah, hands over to him.
Yeah, and he sort of gets 2 ales out ready for you if you wanted to take it over from yourself, or he'll sort of keep it ready for this rest.
You keep it ready for him, Toblin. When he comes over, you just notion towards me, and it's from me. Maybe let him choose his options there.
Very well. So do you guys take your seats at sort of the side sort of bar section with higher bar stools, sort of sitting?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. After a while, like unless Madriel maybe wanted to approach this guy.
No, Madriel wouldn't do it. So
he would eventually sort of finish his drink and then get back, like sort of slowly push himself up from this bar stool and then like hop down. And this guy, like, you didn't really notice before how tall this man, and he's standing at maybe like 6'7". He is an imposing figure. He kind of makes his way across the bar and then goes to sort of like gets Toblin's attention, and Toblin sort of says, "On the house," sort of thing, and he sort of smiles, and you see Toblin sort of pointing off in your direction, and then this big fellow kind of walks over to you with this sort of ale in hand, and he says, "Apparently I got you to thank for this."
You certainly do, big guy. Do you want to have a sit?
Well, if I'm invited, then I don't mind if I do. And he kind of like drags his stool over that kind of like kind of creaks across the floor as he sort of perches next to you. And he's like, "Name's John Raskin."
An interesting name, to be sure. I can't say I've heard it though.
Sweet.
Any old reason you're here in Phandalin?
Let's just say I'm here on business. Made a trip down from old Neverwinter, and I'm looking for folk to escort me somewhere. To a mine.
Is that right? What kind of mine?
You see, the big wigs up in Neverwinter paying to clear out this Mountain Toad's gold mine. Don't know if you heard of it.
Have we heard of it?
Do a history check.
10.
You definitely haven't. Keep Madriel, you have. You might have heard the talk probably more likely in the city, actually. Would Madriel have ever visited Neverwinter, or has she mainly been in Waterdeep?
no, she definitely would. I imagine her going between
Yeah.
Neverwinter, Waterdeep, and Baldur's Gate.
Almost certainly, then, if you've been to Neverwinter, you probably would have heard specifically quite recently. There would have been talk of, like, sort of this business consortium looking for adventurers in Neverwinter who have been looking for, like, specific kinds of people to basically clear out a mine that they operate called the Mountain's Toe Gold Mine. The gold mine has basically been troubled by productivity problems recently. They are very kind of like hush-hush about it. There's typical kind of business consortium attitude. They're basically, I think, do you think Madriel would have tried to go after this kind of quest?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I think certainly if I think the thought of, honest workers in the mine being hurt potentially by issues there, she would have been attracted to
I
that.
think based off Madra's personality, this business consortium would just sort of turned her away.
Yeah.
They almost looked like they were looking for someone who was very no-nonsense, very kind of specific personality they were looking for. You probably would have spoken at least like a job interview style deal with very kind of big wig types. They were being kind of quite fat cats kind of sitting in their chair, very much like, well, she's a woman and she's not quite the type we're looking for. Very kind of like sexist cunts, basically. I'm not going to be like be around the language of it sort of thing. Very kind of nasty people making out of their way. Maybe even that particular Baron who was in your campaign, Tom, that I forget the name of, that Bungo messaged to, was sort of in charge of Neverwinter, sorry.
Oh, God.
I could look it up, but it would take me a while to find.
Yeah, I know who you mean.
Yeah, that guy, I think would definitely be like on the sort of head of this business consortium. It's very kind of prosperous. A gold mine around these parts, very prosperous.
Okay.
So you probably would have been turned away, and you say, this guy's sort of like, looks like I've been employed by said, but I need someone to sort of take me up there and help me out with this kind of thing. The business consortium are not interested in hiring specific people, but I can hire who I want in the meantime, and they don't have to know the difference.
Is it far away?
It's approximately, let's Natalie just check. It's almost a day's travel to the east.
I think that's doable. If there's you say there was people in danger? Did you say?
I don't know much about what's going on with the place, but all they said is it needs to be cleared out so production line can continue.
I see. That could mean anything. That could mean, moving a bunch of rocks out their way, or dealing with a bunch of jellies like before, Madriel, you remember? So I don't know. Let me just look at the other missions. Let me just get some priorities down.
Yeah, I'll put the, let me just activate the quest for you. Yeah, he would say, like, I've spoken to the town master. He's, offering a reward of 100 gold pieces. Seems he's got some interest with this consortium himself. And, let me,
That particular point doesn't interest me. Whether he has or has not, I'm afraid. It's more, whether there's any danger to the workers up there,
Well, I don't really know myself. I'm not even sure if there's any remaining workers up there. I was told very little on command of this consortium, being quite tight-nosed about what their business is. But I do not be paid for that kind of information. Simply paid to get the job done. Yeah, I activated both the Barthen quest that he told you about and the other quest for you, just so you know.
Have a look. Yeah. So, Barthen wants an escort.
That's what he told you about the
Mountain. Big guy wants another escort, but of himself. Okay. What was the other one?
You've also had a quest from on the job board. There was a clan of reclusive rock gnomes who they supposedly might have something to deal with the dragon.
Okay. And we've got rumours. What are they?
Yeah, you've got a number
Orc
of rumours
tech.
as well. There's rumours of a hidden treasure near Coneyberry. If you wanted to seek that out. There is rumours that Toblin told you about if you wanted to perhaps find, you know, magical items or gold or whatever. There might be some of these ships that frequently crash into the lighthouse west of Phandalin. There's also rumours you've heard of a safe place within Neverwinter Wood. Maybe if you were to travel up through the Neverwinter Wood to this loggers camp, you might be able to make a stop there. And also Barthen, as you're well aware of at this point, is the Orcs are heading down from the mountains. Excuse me, hiccups.
What do you think, Madriel? We can take this trip to this mine.
I'm more inclined, I think, to take the role of protection of someone we know is a valuable part of this town, Barthen. Its cargo, and also I'd be very interested checking in with these people taking refuge. It might help us to understand the orc problem more if we hear their stories of where they've come.
I think you're right, Madriel. I was thinking the same sort of similar lines. I'm afraid to say, big man, this is a no from us for now, unless you've got some time to wait.
I got all the time in the world, Mercy. I'll be waiting here for the next week or so, waiting for some more adventurous folk who might be willing to escort me up there. So, if you change your mind, I'll be staying here in the inn.
Good to know. Don't deny other adventurers on behalf of us, though. You know, I mean, we are the best, of course.
Won't.
But
the first two are willing to take up the pay from the townsmaster. I'll be heading up there as soon as possible.
All right. Well, nice to meet you. Maybe see you again.
Nice to meet you. And he says, "Thanks for the drink." And then he heads back off to the stall, kind of sits quietly, just sipping on his ale. So what were the two... Sorry, I was sort of reading through something as you... What were the two quests you were most interested into? Just curiosity for my sake.
So I think we were going to the loggers. Loggers in the Neverwinter. And what was the name of the one that goes with that?
Safe Haven in the Woods.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So what would you guys be doing for the rest of the evening? So, you know, maybe like a couple of hours have passed on. It's sort of getting late. The sort of light has trickled out from the sky, and now it's sort of much darker outside. People are still very merry inside. Like I said, it's the end of the 10-day. People are very rowdy. They're wanting to get pissed, basically, at the end of a hard working week. What are you guys doing? Describe to me how you spend your evening.
I think Madriel would be quite in her book. Specifically, she'd be starting to come up with, using just her memory from checking the orcs earlier, thinking about ways that people could rapidly heal or help injuries from a white dragon with the cold element attached to it. She'd be thinking about potential like warming herbs, or even the use of like liquor and things like that to try and counteract the cold effect things. But mostly just brainstorming on that front. I don't think she'd be making any breakthroughs. And then before she goes to bed, she'd find the most drunk person in the place and cast Lesser Restoration on them.
Amazing.
And then they start drinking again.
The guy would sort of be like, "Oh, thank you. I feel a lot less drunk." "Oh, you ruined the night. Toblin, I need 5. And what about you, Sapphire? What are you doing at this time?
I think Sapphire's probably just chatting shit with Ruby again, like she does most days. Probably also getting drunk, and also just occasionally waving her warhammer a bit frivolously about in gesture of that she's awesome. So
I would say about after sort of 2.5 to sort of 3 hours. It's getting very, very late into the night. Someone burst through the door of the inn.
Oh.
And let's quickly get the button. I think that. Where is it? And yeah, someone bursts through the door to the inn and says, "Orcs! Orcs have attacked Butterskull Ranch!"
Shit. Oh shit. Yeah, stands up rapidly.
Yeah, the sort of the atmosphere immediately sort of dies down, and Toblin kind of rushes forward. You can see this guy is like, looks like he's sweating, like he looks like drenched. He's a very young man, wearing kind of very traditional kind of farmer's kind of garb, and Toblin kind of rushes forward, and another couple of other men sort of stumble up to him, and they're like, Toblin's like, "What's the matter, son?" He's like, "Orcs! Oh, attack Butterskull Ranch! They got Big Al! They got Big Al!" And
by the gods!
Oh, not Big Al!
And Toblin says, "Don't you worry yourself, son. You take a seat, and I'll go talk to the townsmaster." He's like, "Big Al, yeah, Orcs, Butterskull Ranch." He's like, "Take a seat, it's fine." And he sort of like waves to one of the guys, like, "You run the bar." And this guy's like, "Are you sure?" And sort of gets back up and starts kind of like serving drinks to his friends without much thought to it, really. And sort of gives this guy a drink as well, and he looks quite shaken up. And then things kind of die back down. How do you guys react?
I think Sapphire would go up to the guy and say, "Are they still there? How long ago?"
I rode straight here. Oh god. Sorry, I don't know what's going on. I rode straight here for like the last, like, right through Coneyberry. I've literally ridden like nearly 100 miles.
Oh, bloody hell.
Like 4 days straight, I've been on a horse. I'm done. I'm so done. Oh, fuck. They're just... Oh, Big Al, they got him!
I'm sorry for your friend.
I think... I don't know if they killed my friends. Biff and Fred. I saw them go down. They was picking corn in the field, and they just came out of nowhere.
Sapphire just grips both of his shoulders like roughly and leans into him. She's like, "I'm sorry about your friend. I wish we could have been there to help."
You gotta help Big Al. He might still be alive.
He might still be alive.
Yeah.
She sort of backs away from him and looks to the group. Perhaps a priority.
I'd say so.
Oh god, Big Al.
We'll help your friend. Don't you worry. If he's still alive, then we'll save him.
He's a retired sheriff. He could give you a reward or whatever. I'm sure he owns the ranch. He's Big Al. He's the best boss ever. Oh god.
Well, we're
For
not
now.
thinking about that, friend. And Madriel would pick up, I don't know, a utensil of some kind, like a spoon or something that's been on a table,
Yeah.
and just gently place it in his hand.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably quite confusing for the guy. And she says,
he's like in a state, so he just sort of takes it.
"Thanks to you holding on tight to your friends. Hope you might just shine a light, give them the chance to survive." And then she'll cast a light cantrip on the little spoon in his hand.
He like grips it really tight. He's like, "Oh, thanks. Please, just my friends. They need to be proper burial, and Big Al, if he's alive, and..."
Just you making it back here, friend, means our destiny is where your friend is.
Oh, thanks.
We'll head there as soon as possible.
And as you're talking, you see Toblin comes back in, and then Harbin Wester's kind of looking very irritated. He's in his pajamas, pretty much. Comes to the door, and he's like, "Oh, that is a me. Right. I've gotten out of bed for this, and well, anyone who can go and see if Alphonse Calazorn, Big Al, right up at Butterskull Ranch, and you know Butterskull Ranch. They, God, it's fucking you know Butterskull Ranch. Oh, Barthen sold those butterskulls for years, and a lot of the people kind of nod and says, if anyone can head up to Butterskull Ranch, I personally can bring me proof of old Big Al's demise, or rather rescue him. That's what we want to see, isn't it, people of Fadlin? A good old farmer like Big Al rescued. And there's kind of a big cheer. He said, I'll personally offer up 100 gold piece reward to anyone who undertakes this. I'm going to bed. Good evening. And he kind of, like, shuffles off, the fat man does.
More than gold, we kind of need transport. You know, if you rode here, it's quite the journey.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Hoblin, is there anywhere we could get horses or a wagon?
Toblin would kind of get back behind the bar at this point, elbow the other guy out from behind the bar. He said, there's a stables outside of town. You could all get a horse there.
Alright,
let's go.
Let's go. Toblin, you tell the town's master for me that we're gonna go do that mission for him. I'll hopefully bring back your friend. And she gives a one more last shoulder grip to the guy.
Thanks.
Madriel would actually
spoon.
Madriel would nod at that, but put a hand on Sapphire's arm and be like, I'm willing, of course, but I don't know if perhaps it would be better to go to sleep now, leave as early as possible in the morning.
I think Madriel is right, Sapphire. It would be foolish to head out right now.
Perhaps. I was thinking we could take turns. Driving the wagon, perhaps?
Well, he just said there was horses. We don't know if there is a wagon as such.
Do we know if there's a wagon? No.
Toblin would say, well, there might be. It's going to cost you a lot extra, though. Maybe 25 gold, probably.
Might be slower as well, to be fair. Maybe you're right. Alright, everyone sleep as little as you can, though, yeah? I mean, I'll try.
Yeah, Madriel will give a solemn nod to that and just immediately head upstairs.
Let's head up right away, Sapphire. Looks like we're going to need a sleep, although I'm not sure we're going to be able to get much now.
My adrenaline's going a bit now, but I'll force it somehow.
Right you are. Right. Let's head off to sleep. Come on, little Nib. Yes, Ruby. And you'll head up to, making your way up to bed. You're more than welcome to take a long rest.
Yeah.
And then, I'm assuming you're preparing first thing to head up to the stables to, to buy yourself a set of horses.
Yeah.
Yeah, horses are going to cost you... Let's cut the prices.
I assume everyone here can ride a horse.
It's the first time for everything.
So
we just did the Dwarven Excavation mission. Maybe we should go get our 50 gold pieces from Harbin Wester.
Yeah?
Yeah, you could definitely stop off in the morning. I'm not going to make you roleplay it out. You would just, like, almost tired, very obviously tiredly kind of hand over the 50 gold. He's like, here you go. And then, yeah, you can split that up between you. Yeah, the horses probably cost you about 5 gold pieces each.
Okay. I removed it. I've got pieces.
Yep, same.
Okay, and I assume unless you want to stop and try and buy anything from Barthen's or the Lion Shield Costa first, then you're heading straight out.
I think we're trying to rush, but has any... well, I assume we've all got enough arrows. I have not actually been keeping track of Ruby's arrows, but...
Take off, like...
I don't really have an inventory for her anyway.
4 per combat. 4 for the last combat, and I'll say an extra... 2 for the other combats. Let's take off 6 arrows if you've not been keeping track.
Okay, let's say she started with 20 then, and then we'll take off 6.
Yeah, if you're heading straight out, then yeah, you gather your horses, you gather your things first thing, you don your armour, you get your weapons ready, and you head straight up the tribal trail. Riding. You, Barthen would tell you that it lies, Barskull Ranch lies a little bit way east of Coneyberry, which you would know would be to the east of Vandalin, directly along the tribal trail. Feel free to roll history checks about Coneyberry for me, though. It's quite important.
History checks.
Madriel has definitely heard of it.
Oh, baby.
See if Sapphire has first as well. Sapphire, you're less familiar, actually. You know that Coneyberry, blew my brain. You know that Coneyberry, Madriel, was burnt to the ground many years ago by a tribe of orcs. It was attacked by a tribe of orcs. Let me just look up specifics, just because you got a natural 20. Yeah, it was attacked by the Grey Wolf tribe many years ago, who basically wiped out the town as like retribution, believing that they were sort of invading their territory. Yeah, and it's been basically a ruin ever since. Often well known for being quite a scary place to go. This time, this era. But I will move you to the map if you're going to travel. Put you back at Fandlin. So this is going to be, as you can see, Butterskull Ranch is all the way up here. This is going to be definitely a multi-day travel thing. So I assume you're heading directly upon the tribal trail. So probably
yeah.
So it is going to take you. It's about 73 miles to Butterskull Ranch. At what pace are you heading at, travel-wise?
Probably fast, right?
Yeah, I would have said fast.
So 4 miles a day, you get -5 to your passive perceptions. So you can get 4 miles per hour. So what did I say? It was 70 something miles. 73.
70 something, yeah.
23 divided by 4. That's not right. What did I say it was?
It's 4 miles an hour, so it's 32 per day.
73 divided by 30.
So that's like 2 and a bit days.
Yeah, just over 2 days it would take you to get there. So I am going to need quite a few rolls actually. Are you pushing on beyond 8 hours? I need to know that first to see if you need to make any exhaustion checks, or are you stopping at some point during your journey and then heading on for the next point?
I mean, I don't think we can because the horse is just going to get tired and stop. So
Yeah, I think we'd have to push on too much to bring it under 2 days.
You could probably travel like 9 hours a day, risk 1 level of exhaustion, and then sleep it off.
Yeah.
And that, because it would take you about 2 days and about 2 hours to get there, so it's quite convenient in that way. It'll probably take you about 50 hours to get there.
Okay. Yeah, sounds, yeah.
Okay, so in that case, this is going to be quite a lot of rolls. I need someone to make 9...
Ooh.
Just roll 9 d20 for me for the first day.
Tom.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Okay, you can stop. There we go, we got the one.
Got a lot of ones in there.
Oh, 3 natural ones in there, what the fuck?
You did, fuck.
And a 2, and a 4, and a 6. Ah!
Can you please roll me a d100?
33. Both the 3s.
33. And then roll a d4 for me.
2.
Okay. Quickly read something. And someone roll another d4 for me quickly, just so I know. Then tell me what you get. I'm not looking at the chat.
4.
Okay. Bear with me.
Madriel has named her horse Lightbringer.
Okay. Sapphire's not named that horse.
The horse's name is Horse.
Pretty much. A horse, good horse.
Yeah, I can't imagine being a dwarf in full plate armor is very horse riding friendly.
Definitely not, no.
Very achy by the end of the day.
I mean, not quite in like plate armor. We're in chainmail.
Oh yeah, true.
Maybe not too bad. Still pretty sweaty though.
Very jingly.
Yeah. And heavy for the horse as well.
So, your first day of travel is long, but mostly uneventful as you travel the road fast on horseback. But as you come to the end, you think we need to set up camp. This is getting late on. We've pushed ourselves a little bit here. And as you do, you begin to spot a number of figures in the road. Sitting in a little campfire beside the road. It looks like 2 older men and 2 older women. What do? You're just sitting there by the campfire. They definitely seem to perk up at your movement a little bit.
How close are we? Pretty close?
100 feet maybe. It's the first time you notice them. They've got a couple of tents with them. They've got a donkey that's got stuff strapped to the back of them. They definitely
hey all, there's some yeah. Oh, they perk up, yeah?
They definitely perk up, yeah.
Seems to be some people in the road. They don't look particularly dangerous with a donkey. Should we see if they need our aid while we're here? We need to stop anyway.
Yeah, we can stop briefly.
You do perception checks, both of you.
Mm-hmm.
It's less obvious to Madriel. I don't know. I think lower DC for Madriel because she's pays attention to quite people's physical attributes quite a lot. But Sapphire, it does. You do notice as well that these people are quite gaunt. They're quite. They're best described as quite. What's the word I'm looking for? Quite like gaunt and almost like wretched a little bit. Like there's an older man who kind of looks up at you and is Just sort of like, oh, good day, strangers. How goes it?
Not that great, to be honest, but we've had a long. This is towards the end of our day, isn't it?
It
This one.
is, yeah.
Yeah. Are we stopping up? We're stopping here? Or is this further along?
Well, it's up to you if you want to stop here.
Depends on how late in the day we are.
But yeah, it's late in the day. You've been travelling for like 8 hours.
Okay. But weren't we going to travel for 9, though?
You could probably, it's up to you. You can probably push on
Yeah.
another hour if you wanted to. But you would have to make exhaustion checks. But these do encounter this group about 8 hours in.
Okay. Yeah. She just briefly gets off from her horse. We just wanted to check on you guys while we're here. You in the middle of nowhere, kind of. Tribal trail.
We're just travelling a little way to Neverwinter.
Okay. Well, if you need any aid, we're here for a short time.
Oh yeah, come sit by the fire. You look awfully tired.
She looks back at the group. Well, we weren't sure whether to continue for a little while longer.
Oh, there's no place. Safety and company, if you ask me.
Madriel takes off her mask and hops down off the horse. What did you eat today, sir?
Oh, well, we, had some dried meats and the like.
When?
Not long ago. Maybe a few hours.
If you'll forgive my saying so, you don't look like you've been eating enough.
Oh, yeah, certainly. My wife always tells me I'm not eating enough, and I could always get an extra meal in my bed. I don't suppose you have any food you could provide us with. We're very poor folk from Tribor, and we're just trying to get by.
Of course. Madriel would unsling her backpack and start taking out her portions of rations.
Yeah, the sort of one, the other woman gets up and she says, "Oh, let me help you, dear. I'll see if we can get out anything for my husband. Get a meal in him. Can you please do a perception check for me, please, Madriel?"
16.
16. Quickly check something. Madriel, you notice as she's like genuinely coming over to like sort of help you pour food out. But as you notice that as she does, she tries to slip her hand into the bag to like grab something extra, and you notice her do it very much. She doesn't notice you've noticed her, but she definitely tries to grab like a bit of extra rations or something else.
Madriel wouldn't stop her.
She takes it.
What did she take? Just more ration.
What have you got in your inventory? Tell me.
In my backpack, where I was taking the rations out from,
Yeah.
I've got the rations themselves, tinderbox, water skin. I've written down that I've got the holy symbol, but I'm pretty sure I left that behind with the dwarves. The dagger with the jewel, that holy symbol.
100% they take the dagger with the jewel. Like, if she sees that, she's going to try and take it.
But did I leave that with the dwarves? I'm worried that I didn't remove it from my...
I think they took the dagger and you had the jewels, if I believe. I tried to make it easier for you guys, so you had the jewels.
Right.
So if there's jewels in there, she will try and take the jewels.
Because we had 10, was it 10 jewels? 12 jewels that we split between us?
I think it was 10 in total, because there was 15 in total, and they took 5 and the dagger, and you had the 10 gems.
Cool. So Madriel would have 5 in her backpack, keeping some for thingy as well. And yeah, she 100% let the woman take the 5 gems.
Yeah, she takes them and sort of sits back down. It's like, oh,
Yeah, Madriel will just
thank
continue.
you for the food, dear. So kind of you to feed my husband.
He looks like he needs a few days of good eating.
Yes, definitely. Come on, eat up, eat up. And he's like, oh, thank you. And starts like snacking away at the rations. The other two are just kind of staring on quite intently at you.
Do they have any weapons?
Do a perception check.
Damn it.
No, you don't notice. Because they got bags and stuff. Maybe there could be weapons in them, but who knows? Based off that perception check.
I will say all of you folk don't look very well prepared for the road. I would have you know there's a flying lizard around and orcs. Probably not the safest time to be travelling.
Heard so many horrible stories. That's why we're heading from all the way from Tribor.
Well, you guys just be careful there, yeah?
Yes, we will, yes. You see, both of you do quick perception checks. You see the other two kind of like stop whispering to each other slightly and then look in your direction.
Ooh, net 20 for Sapphire.
Okay. Madriel, you do not hear this, but Sapphire, you do sort of hear under the breath, like, when they fall asleep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll be heading off now. I think we've got at least a couple more hours in us, don't we, guys?
Please stay with us. We would be greatly glad for your protection during a night's rest. Like you said, we're not well prepared for a journey like this. We just set out, you know what the times are like.
As long as you keep yourselves hidden, perhaps flow a bit further into those bushes over there. You should be fine for the night. We've got quite the important task we're heading for right now.
Oh no, please! I insist. I really think you should just sleep. Can you make a wisdom saving throw for me? Is this?
Oh.
Yep. Oh.
Natural 20.
Fucking hell, with a
You get the impression like this guy starts staring at you. You sort of blink once, and you're like, oh, and then you kind of shrug it off. Like you just felt this kind of like almost like tiredness overtaking you for a moment, and then it's just kind of stopped.
Well, sleepy as I feel, our task is more important than my than my sleepiness.
And then the wife kind of gets up and then sort of looks to Nib and says, "But your small friend looks so tired as well." Can Nib make a wisdom saving throw for me?
Oh, an extra +2 to this. Although I don't think it helps.
Well,
and you see Nib just sort of, yeah, I feel really tired, Madriel, and then just like passes
Nib.
out on the floor, like just like falls back into your arms, Madriel.
Oh, I didn't realise the journey had taken so much out of her.
And you're looking awfully tired too, dears. And then Madriel and Ruby, please make wisdom saving throws for me.
yep.
Oh my god. I rolled a 2 for Nib and myself.
And Ruby,
I'm
Hannah?
so pissed.
Yeah.
And Madriel, as you're sort of holding Nib in your arms, you're like, do you feel quiet? And you just sort of pass. And then Ruby's kind of like, again, feels the same kind of effect that you do. And then one of them sort of turns to the other and says, and then the old man looks to his wife and looks back at you, then looks back, and then again looks back at you again, and just says, I think you should hand over everything you have.
Sapphire just sort of smirks. I've dealt with your kind before. Nothing's being handed over. You've already had a lot. Should have just left.
Okay, roll initiative
Stepped
then.
in front of Madriel, yeah.
Yeah, as you do that, they just sort of step up. All of them do, and start sort of like walking towards you intently.
Fucking terrible initiative. Oh no.
Do the sleepies roll initiative?
They do indeed, yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Just one sec. One. Two. Three. And 4. Okay. It's the top of the round. This person, their form begins to like shift and elongate before you, Sapphire, and soon you see the old woman no longer sits there, and there's like their ears extend and their mouth extends, and then like fur begins to grow at the back. The clothes just begin to disappear before you, and this awful creature just stands before you and is going to rush towards.
I guess I stand corrected. I haven't met you before.
Ruby.
Mm.
And as you do, just like as in her hand, she just suddenly, like as if holding nothing, just pulls out this scimitar.
Oh.
And is going to swipe at.
Oh, it's what Gertrude fucking turned into.
Yeah. Jackal win.
16 doesn't like clangs off the shield. Ruby, though, Madriel, you are unconscious.
Did Ruby pass?
Ruby did pass, yeah.
Oh, nice. Good job, Ruby.
Yeah.
And then second person begins to transform. Runs over to Ruby as well. Which movement does that have, actually? 15, 20. Yeah, I can't put it all around. These creatures do have pack tactics.
Oh.
So, it's going to make a scimitar attack with advantage. Does hit Ruby.
Mm-hmm.
Or 3 points of slashing damage, if you want to take that off.
Okay.
Up next, a further jackal were begins to transform. And then also rushes Ruby.
Oh.
Again, tactics, scimitar. Hits. 8 points of slashing damage.
It's scary, yeah.
It is Nibs goes unconscious. Sapphire, it's finally your go.
Sapphire worries about our positioning, but also Ruby.
Did you take off her damage, by the way, Hannah? Because it's...
I just did it.
Oh no.
Thank you, Tom.
Sapphire doesn't really want to leave Madriel just out in the open. Also, Ruby.
You could try waking her up.
Yeah, is it just like a matter of? Well, I suppose I don't know. She's just gonna like shush her with her foot as she runs past.
You're gonna try and wake her up?
Yep.
It does require an action, but you shake her and Madriel. Yep. Suddenly you come to consciousness, Madriel.
What?
Under attack, Madriel.
You are prone.
Check for this one.
You are prone, and yeah, but that is your action, Sapphire.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me just figure out my movement.
Movie schmovie.
As my bonus action,
Nib would be closer to Madria.
She is going to run up with Ruby because she doesn't want her to get fucked. She is going to use a bonus action to rally Ruby.
Oh, very nice.
Yes.
Tick off that Battle Master's die.
Well, and it is a 8 plus 2. So plus 2. Very good.
9 points of temporary HP. I'll add that on the red bar.
Come on, Ruby. Stay up with me.
I've got this stuff out if you do!
Oh, I do.
Up next is the final Jackalware. Which transforms as well. Again, it's going to rush Madriel, actually. She's prone.
Oh, shit, the prone.
And it's going to scimitar. 22 to hit.
Yep.
3 slashing damage. No rolls. That is its turn. Ruby's go, Hannah.
Ruby is getting out her sword. Ruby is gonna one hand this one here.
Make an attack roll for me. Hits.
Yeah. 5 damage.
Is that a 10?
Yes. 1 second. Was that a 19? No, it wasn't. Damn it. Okay. Nope.
Oh, she crits on a 19 now, doesn't she? I feel like that.
She does indeed, yeah. Ruby might also do her second wind.
Yeah, she could do that as a bonus action.
Which is just a D10 for her. She doesn't have fighter levels. I'm confused by this.
No, they would include fighter levels. It would be plus her level, so she's got 3 plus 3.
Oh.
So 5.
Yeah.
So up to 23, I believe. This Jackalware, they're just pounding into Ruby. So with advantage. Nope, clangs off her shield though this time.
No.
Madriel, it's your go. You're currently prone.
Stand up, half movement. Use action to wake up Nib.
Yep, Nib is awake. Ugh.
Well, Nib, we've been tricked. And then Ruby kind of healed herself. I'll do 1d6 bonus action for Ruby. Off. And yeah, roll it. Ah, annoying. 1 off full.
27.
Oh.
That is my full turn. I'll stay where I am, in between the Jackalware and Nib.
Jackalware 2. And it's a scimitar. Hits a 23 on Ruby. 8 slashing damage. Takes off 8 of that temporary HP down to 1. Jackalware 4 is also going to attack the scimitar with advantage.
Can't you do your thing, Sapphire?
What are they doing it with? Advantage right now?
Currently,
Oh, pack tactics. Yeah. Oh yeah, disadvantage, but I think it still would have passed with that first one.
Yeah, the first one.
Yeah. The second one I'll re-roll because one would have hit and one wouldn't have. So. Scimitar.
No, you just take the one.
Do it once.
Oh, you take the
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
That's fine. They would have hit anyway. So 18. Yeah. 3 more slashing damage to Ruby, so it takes off that 10 HP and an extra 2. Just take off that and then 25. Nibs go, who is currently prone.
Nib's gonna stand up. And Nib's gonna be like, think you're clever sending us to sleep? See how you like it. She's
Oh,
going to
amazing.
cast sleep. But it is an area, so she'll just do it so it like
Clips these
gets.
3.
Yeah.
Yeah, she could definitely do that.
I'll roll
18.
Great. 18. Does it get any of them?
It's one of them.
I'll take it.
One of them. This one up here just drifts off to sleep.
Yeah.
And the Jackaway looks down like. Right, Sapphire. It's your go. Unless Nib's moving.
No, I think Nib would be happiest next to Medriel.
I think Nib would be at full
Sapphire.
health as well, right? It's long rest.
Oh, yep. Gee.
Sapphire's just going to attack this one in front of her. With hang on. Spend a superiority die to add to the damage roll. We're going to do a trip attack on this one in front of me.
Okay.
So
So you make the
I think
attack
it's
roll
got to hit first. Yeah.
8 misses,
misses.
Unfortunately.
Do you still use the superiority
No,
die if it misses?
I think you announce it when it hits, right?
Oh, okay. Alright. Oh, yeah, it says when you hit with the. Yeah. That's it for now.
Anything else? Okay. First Jackaway up here is going to try and hit Madriel. No more advantage though. Does hit with a 22 though. For 7 points of slashing damage.
Oof.
Ruby's go. Unless you attack
Ruby.
Madriel.
Oh, yeah, I should do that because it's cool. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah, I think there would be like a flash of light from Madriel's mask, which she's not even wearing at the moment. But it would flash, and the Jackaware would feel a sharp pain in its head.
So that's
Use your reaction
grasping
to
its
deal 2 psychic damage to the attacker and push it up to 10 feet away from the wearer, so 10 feet back. 2
Nice.
psychic damage.
So the mask next to you like lights up, and then like the Jackaware just suddenly is like grabs its head like ah! And then just gets pushed back
Nice.
like all the way up to here.
Cool.
Ruby's go.
Ruby sees this one just slump asleep next to her, so she's going to ignore that one.
Yeah, it would be
Um,
as well.
And attack this one in front of her. Over here. Middle one. 11.
Yeesh.
Misses.
Yeah. That's it from Ruby.
Jackaware 3 is going to try and hit Ruby with advantage because of pack tactics. That's miss though.
It does.
Madriel, it's your go.
Madriel. That one's been pushed away. How's Nib to... Nib, stick with the Ruby and Sapphire. And she is going
Yes,
to...
Madriel.
She's going to cast... Yeah, she's going to do it on these 2 Jackawares here.
Okay.
You see her pick up her mask this time. Pull it on. Just says, it's unkind to trick those with good hearts. And she holds out her hand and is going to cast Cause Fear
Oh shit.
on those 2 Jackawares.
What save is that?
It's a wisdom save of 14.
Oh wait, just take the first 2. 9 and 18. So 1 fails and 1 passes.
Yep.
So that one is scared. I assume it's got a frightened condition, right?
Yeah, I think it's really simple. Become frightened of you until the spell ends, but they get a saving throw at the end of each of their turns. There's no other thing's just frightened of me, so it can't move closer to me, and disadvantage on attack rolls.
Jackaware 2 is frightened. Can you do an intimidation check for me, Madriel? Because she's put the mask on especially. I think I just want to see how scared this Jackaware is. Yeah.
And I'll add to that with my
your talisman thing, yeah.
Yeah, Pact of the Talisman.
D4, right?
Yep. A further 3, so 18.
This Jackaware just fucking starts running, and it's gonna go full dash as well. It's so scared of Madriel with that mask on, and the golden light as she puts the mask on. It's just like she just holds her hands out, and then just like, you just see this almost like this gust of wind just kind of like comes up, and the grass in front of her just starts like bending away from Madriel, and this one Jackaware is just kind of like, and the other one is like, and he just starts like running as fast as he can. Feel free to take out opportunity attacks if you want to, Ruby and Sapphire. It's literally like puts its hand in its head, and it's just like it like drops its weapons, and it just starts like it's scrambling away across like the floor, and just like it's running like on like all fours as best it can.
No, I don't think they really aiming for opportunity attacks. They're mostly just aiming for defensive reactions.
Yeah, that's as far as the Jackaware can get then. Jackaware 4 is fucking asleep. Nibs go. Yeah, you see the Jackaware 4 on the floor, just like always high pitch, kind of like a jackal sound.
Nib's gonna shoot this one with a firebolt.
This one up here is kind of still clutching its head as it kind of like shakes its head, and it's like, argh! And then steadies itself and then brings up the scimitar, but Nib just kind of leans around the back of you, Madriel, and just sort of like fires up as Lil kind of flies down her arm and stands on the end, opens her mouth, and this firebolt almost looks like it's coming out of her mouth, directed right at the Jackaware, right in the chest, and he kind of drops down slightly as it takes 7 damage. Not bad at all, but it still readies itself, and it's like lets out this like awful kind of like almost donkey sound as it kind of like kind of in your direction. Sapphire, is your go though before that Jackaware gets to act.
Sapphire just steps next to Ruby, and she's like, looks to the Jackaware. She's like, "Yeah, you probably should have just ran away."
do an intimidation check for that. It's pretty high DC to make it actually run, but fuck. It looks at you and it looks frightened. It's not with a frightened condition, but fuck it, I'm gonna give it a frightened condition. I think it is.
Yeah.
I think it's that frightened of you at this point. Seeing its other friend ran, the other friend is fast asleep on the floor. It's scared.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a free action.
Gonna whack it.
Yeah, it doesn't drop its scimitar, but it definitely lowers it, and then kind of like and you just like before it's had a chance to turn and run, you just swing the warhammer around, connects with its jaw, and just clicks it back into itself. And it's just like almost punch drunk, like wailing around for damage. Anything else?
We're gonna action surge because
very
fuck
nice.
Oh.
I know you were thinking about that trip attack, weren't you?
Oh yeah, hang on. Do I have to pick one?
I'd say it's too late to use it now, but I'm just reminding you. So if you
Alright,
want to use it on
okay,
the next
alright.
attack, you definitely can. And you do get advantage because it's frightened, remember?
Oh yeah.
So we'll count that as the first 2. The 20 would have hit. So 10 and... roll a second one for me. 16 hits.
16.
More bludgeoning damage. But if you're doing a trip attack, then it does... You roll your D8.
D8.
So it does 12 damage.
Yeah.
And then it's got to make a strength saving throw, I believe, for trip attack, right?
Yeah. And it's yeah. DC 13. Strength save.
It rolls a natural 20. So whilst it's frightened, it's still like it's quite a strong creature, and it's especially its hind legs that really like they look kind of angular and very muscled, and the tendons you can see like rising from the flesh, and it kind of just steadies itself as it's lowered. But it's definitely like cowering before your figure now, as your dwarven figure brings this tall creature to almost to its knees.
Go on then, Ruby. You can do the honours.
Jackaware 1, though, this one is still enraged, and ooh, it's going to do an insight check for this Jackaware. I'm going to see if it sees that, like, I imagine Madriel is quite protective of Nib in general, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm going to see if this Jackaware... oh, by the way, I forgot to say, this whole fucking fight, that your weapons are not magical, so it does seem like they're doing less damage. I've not been keeping track of that. I'm just going to add back on a little bit of HP for each of them. Okay. This one. Yeah, I'm going to do an insight check for it, sorry. Yeah. It sees you're protective of Nib, and it is going to, like, dance around and try and get Nib. Scimitar attack. Misses, though, as press swipe down, but Nib almost instinctually like hugs the back of your leg, Madriel, and just swings round and nearly chops down, and Lil just kind of like boom, sort of jumps off the top of the cinema as it does and perches back on Nib's shoulder, and then kind of like tweets in the direction of this Jackaware, who is just kind of like, again, like this donkey kind of noise, like Ruby's go, though.
Ruby is gonna hit this one with her sword.
Yeah, it's only frightened of you, so I don't think it gets advantage.
Yep, that's fine.
On her rolls, if I remember correctly. 17 definitely hits though, so 5 damage after it's halved. Jackaware number 3 is right there. It's still frightened of you. I'm going to do a wisdom save at the end of its turn, so it stops being frightened. In the meantime, I'm going to do the wisdom save now, actually, because it was non-effect. See if it studies itself. I'm going to give it a DC of that much. Nope, still fucking frightened. It's going to fucking leg it. It's just going to dash. It's dead. Actually, how smart are these creatures? Okay, they're actually pretty smart. It will disengage. That's its turn, though. Madriel, it's your go.
Yeah, this one going after Nib was questionable.
Yeah, might be the big mistake on that Jackaware's part.
I'm within 5 feet of it, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So Madriel like stiffens with anger. This thing that's just gone for the vulnerable Nib behind her, and she steps like right up into its face. And as she does, you see her red hair kind of start to lift up, and her eyes just go blazing white through the mask, and you see these 2 spectral golden wings unfurl from behind her shoulder blades. And her voice shifts this deep turn and just says, "Step away." And I'm using Radiant Soul.
Oh shit, what does that do?
For 1 minute, once per long rest as an action, you can transform, gaining glimmering eyes and 2 incorporeal wings. For 1 minute or until you end it as a bonus action, you have a flying speed 30 feet, and once per turn you can have 1 attack Or spell, deal 3 in additional radiant damage to one target, but that won't be happening this turn. It's more just an expression of her fury.
Intimidation check. Like, with disadvantage, it's still, you're very scary, but this thing is, like, quite driven to kill you, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not intimidating enough for it to stand down. It's definitely taken attention to you, though, and it's, like, turned its attention towards you rather than Nib, but it's still wanting to fight. This is quite an aggressive Jackalware, you think?
Cool, cool.
The Jackalware 2 is still fucking legging it. I'm going to make a wisdom save for the end of its turn for last time, because I forgot to. Oh, failed. Still fucking running. It would be... another 50 feet off the map, if someone wants to write that on for me, and I will do a wisdom save for it. Does pass though, so it's 50 feet off the map, but it does turn around and is kind of like deciding, it's quite obviously kind of like looking back and forth and not sure what to do. Jackalware 4 is still fast asleep. Nibsco, who is right up in the face of this Jackalware that is just kind of like staring down Madriel. Quite muscular, this Jackalware, compared to the others, and it's just like readies up its scimitar and is getting ready to kind of clash forces with this angelic being. Has Nib ever seen this before?
No, 100% not. I imagine Nib's probably quite scared.
Yeah, Nib
Seeing
would be
Madriel like
very
this.
frightened of what's going on. You definitely look like an incredibly imposing figure.
Yeah, I think with that being the case, Nib would just disengage and scramble.
I think that makes
over in this
perfect sense. I was going to give a disadvantage otherwise, because I think it's quite a traumatic thing for her, seeing practically her idol like transform into this, you know, truly angelic being. Sapphire is your go. You're definitely surprised by Madriel's transformation, but you're a hard battle master. You're not going to turn away a fight, even if something has scared you not scared you, but kind of surprised you.
Like the surprise you're keeping Madriel there, Nib? Well, still a battle to be won. Ruby, if you don't mind handling that particular one over there, I'll lend a hand otherwise. So Ruby, Sapphire just like...
Right here, Sapphire!
strolls up to this. Quite the appearance there, Keeper. Just gonna warhammer this thing in front of her.
Are you flanking or not? You would be able to get under this sort of tree.
Oh, okay. I'm sort of flank. Actually, defensive, you know.
Yeah.
We'll go next to her.
Totally fair. 10 would miss if that was your roll.
That was my roll. Damn it.
Yeah, it does. You swing down, and this Jackalware is very focused on Madriel. It looks enraged and pissed off that it's almost like its prey wasn't as defenseless as it once thought. This Jackalware is going... You know what? I'm going to fucking give this Jackalware advantage, because I think it's just... It's so enraged that it almost feels like it's got its allies with it, and I think the pack tack is almost like activates, if that makes sense.
Love it.
Yeah.
And it's just going to swing down at Madriel just angrily, but just swiftly Madriel just like drifts out of the way, almost completely as if like guided by some higher power, just almost sidesteps it completely, the wing almost like directing it in a like angular motion. This sword struck, and the Jackalware just kind of spits in your direction just angrily. Ruby's go though.
Ruby is gonna pull out her longbow. Just shoot at this one.
Yeah, I'm not gonna make... I know you're technically within 5 feet. I'm not gonna make you roll disadvantage though. Just straight up advantage. Not advantage. Straight roll. Sorry.
I can step away if you want like that.
Yeah, if you
Sleeping.
want, it doesn't. Yeah, but I'm not going to make you roll disadvantage for a creature that's sleeping next to it. It's so stupid. 19 definitely hits. 5 points of piercing damage is almost enough to bring this Jackalware down as she just sidesteps away and just stands in front of Nib almost instinctively at this point as the precious few come together as a team, and she's just blocking Nib's sight. She just aims the longbow and unleashes the arrow right into the back of this, the ankle of this Jackalware. It just lets out this and just lets out this loud, like, high-pitched screeching noise, and it just like stumbles forward, and there's blood just like dripping out. There's exposed tendon, and it's just like it's almost like dragging itself across the floor. I'm actually going to give it like a prone condition, as it's just like barely hanging on and just like limping across the floor.
Love it.
This Jackalware, I am going to do Wisdom saving at the start of its turn. I'm actually going to give it disadvantage. Nah, yeah, it's no way. It's just so not only scared of like Sapphire, but it's just like it's frightened of Ruby at this point as well. You two work such as like a tandem as a team that it's just so frightened of both of you, and it's not even going to stand up. It's just going to limp 15 feet and then limp another 15 feet. It's like with a dash action. That's literally all. It's just crawling across the floor as this blood trail comes out behind it. Madriel, it's your go as this enraged Jackalware before you.
Madriel's actually sees Nib's reaction.
Yeah.
And there's a moment sort of sadness breaking her angelic stride. And she actually moves towards Nib.
Who I think would cower slightly. Like, does kind of like, oh, it's like, not completely, because it's Madriel, but she's definitely kind of like taken off guard.
Yeah.
Like almost like you've startled like a pet, not that Nib's a pet, but that moment where a familiar animal with you suddenly startle, and it's suddenly like, oh, who are you? Kind of thing.
Yeah. Does the Jackalware take an opportunity attack?
It would definitely take an opportunity attack. I'm going to give it advantage again. It's pissed, this Jackalware.
Nice.
14 does just hit.
Oh.
8 points of slashing damage.
Oh.
As you try and get away, it just slashes across the wing now. Your angelic form is so imposing, but unfortunately makes you slightly easier to hit.
I think as Madriel gets hit, she sort of staggers on that side forward slightly, but she reaches up and almost like rips the mask off of her face and looks out to Nib.
And now Nib looking up at you, the small diminutive form of Nib, the small little halfling with Lil on the shoulder. Lil is equally scared of what's going on, this tiny goldfinch. Looking up, and Madriel, your eyes are just piercing gold. There's no pupils within them.
And I think her voice is still like deeper, so it's just hear this deeper voice, just like, Nib, it's me.
Yeah,
but as she's
towering.
hit and the mask is ripped off, the mask flares with light, and I'm going to use the other charge of the knockback. Oh no, it's not even a charge, I can do it every turn. So 2 psychic damage to the Jackalware, knocked back 10 feet.
Yeah, and it is infuriated by this. It's knocked back 10 feet again, kind of clutching its head, but it's got this angry expression. It's like salivating from the mouth. It's just so angry, this Jackalware, at what's occurred.
And seeing the scared expression on Nib and Lil's face, Madriel's quite like hurt by it in the moment and just turns around and holds out her hand towards the Jackalware. Just says, "Leave us alone!" And will cast Guiding Bolt.
Yeah, and you see Sapphire as the form of Madriel turns around, and this like booming, echoing voice. You see this like bright kind of circular light just almost like shines around her head, almost like a halo. Definitely hits with a 16.
It's +3 to that as well.
Yeah. you turn around, Madriel, and you don't even point your finger like you might have before in the next day. The booming power of your voice, "Leave us alone," just like echoes throughout. Sapphire, you're just like knocked back like 10 feet in this direction by this pure energy of this blow. You take no damage and not prone, but it just like pushes you back, this radiant energy, and the light just like almost comes out from Madriel's mouth and just like consumes this jackalware, and in the light of this radiant energy that's just burning from her mouth in this kind of this cone in front of her, the jackalware just like starts running towards but slowing down, and the flesh is just burning off its form as it just and it just slowly turns to skeletal ash as it runs towards Madriel. Dead.
Amazing.
Jackalware 2, it's your go.
Come on, Jackaware 2, get in the game.
I really think seeing that they're running. It gets 50 feet off the map. It would join, so 60 feet in total. That one is just fuck it. It doesn't even care about his friend. It's just running. This Jackalware is having a lovely dream. It's Nib's go, who is fucking terrified. She's frightened of Madriel.
Yep.
Give her the frightened condition. I think the only thing she realistically would do is probably cower behind Ruby.
Yep.
Sapphire, it's your go.
Sapphire like slowly gets up from the ground, sort of slightly dusts herself off, and she's like, well, quite the form. I've never seen such a... She's just sort of speechless, kind of doesn't really say much, just kind of looks over to Ruby and Nib.
Is that your turn?
That's it, yeah.
Jackalware 1 is dead. Ruby is a hardened battle expert, though. She's not even paying mind to Madriel. Ruby's even older than you, Sapphire, and is more experienced, and she's just so focused on these jackalwares getting away, she's just gonna turn her, and I think she would, if you don't mind me saying, I think she would just turn and fire her longbow at this jackalware running away.
Okay, for it. Longbow. Oh.
Unfortunately, into the ground, though. It doesn't quite connect. Jackalware 3...
It's disadvantage anyway.
Is still limping away, gets another... so it's 80 feet away now, this Jackalware. Just limping across the ground, it's not even getting up from prone. Madriel, it's your go.
Yeah, see, like, she herself witnessed what her voice and power did to this Jackalware. And I think there's definitely a moment of horror and seeing, like, turning around, glancing around, seeing, like, Sapphire's confused expression and Nib's, like, horror hiding behind Ruby. I would definitely use my bonus action to dismiss the form. And I think she put her mask back on. And
Ooh, did I disconnect?
no.
No.
Oh, sorry, I was thinking.
No, that's fine. Just never tell with this computer.
Yeah, she'd put the mask on, but I do actually think she'd turn around and fire at the one that's running. She's been quite angered. So I'll say she does that before dismissing the thing. That's like the last blast of her anger.
Makes perfect sense to me.
Guiding.
Definitely hits.
+3 to whatever this is. So 19.
It's fucking just blasted out of existence as Madriel turns her attention to this Jackalware who is just absolutely running at full sprint and just points in its direction as the wings begin to dissipate behind her. This energy of arcane energy just shoots out of her as Ruby's like locked this longbow. The arrow just falls short, but instead, this like as she's sort of looking on, she looks back at Madriel, kind of like, what the fuck? And then just blasts into the back of this Jackalware, who is instantly turned to skeletal ash.
Yeah, Madriel turns around and then, in like a tired manner, puts her mask back on and then sits down on this rock over here. As you see, as the wings kind of fade from vision, they begin to sort of curl around her in a comforting thing, but they fade away. That's the end of her turn.
Okay, Jackalware 2. I think that's the one that just got fucking blasted. Yeah, it is. Oh, it's dead as a dodo. Jackalware 4 is still dreaming of like berries and mushrooms. Nib is, yeah, I imagine very much in the same state as she was. Sapphire is your go.
Sapphire's just casually like steps over here into the middle of everyone, looks this way, looks towards Ruby and Nib. Well, I realised we were quite the powerhouse together, but damn, you show me that power. Then looks over to the Jackalware.
Finish him off, Sapphire, I got this one. And she kind of turns her attention to the one that's limping away.
Alright, I'll have a go.
This is what you get for trying to fool the precious few!
Yeah, I'm just gonna like try and crush its head.
Yeah, with advantage.
Yep.
I'm gonna say because it's asleep and it's like completely auto crit.
Yeah.
So that would be +3, so 11 damage. The first hit is still technically alive, but you like slam the warhammer and it kind of startles awake like make a second attack. Fuck it, finish this fucker.
Yeah.
Advantage again.
With advantage.
Yeah, with advantage. It's still on the floor. Yeah, and with that, swings the hammer down, crushing the skull. Its head just almost like a melon just goes all over the floor. Quite startling. Meanwhile, Ruby just picks up the pace, running down this Jackalware. It's like limping across the floor as fast as it can, but she's just charging with dwarven fury in her eyes. And she just grabs the tail, a small little button tail of this Jackalware, pulls it back and says, "You're not getting away from the hammer whacker!" And just equally in the same way slams down the hammer and finishes off the final Jackalware. With that, I will end the combat.
Sapphire leans and stands back up fully. Blood splattered all over her clothes. Well, I mean, we got tricked. Damn, you know? Don't think I've been tricked by a jackal before.
Never heard of a shit changer before. Not like that.
No, not as fugly as that one.
Oh, I think we should give Miss Madriel and little Nib here a bit of space to yeah. And she kind of steps forward and starts checking over the bodies. Before we get to any role playing with Madriel and Nib, because that seems kind of important, could Sapphire, please, could you roll me a D100, please?
64.
Could you roll me 3d6?
3115.
5. You get 5 electrum pieces of these things. I also think Jackalware would be carrying some other stuff. Can you also roll me a d12 and a d4? I got all the fucking random tables in this campaign, baby.
12 and 4.
Holy shit, good rolls. You got 4. I don't know. They're just called turquoise in this thing. Search turquoise. Turquoise. Hopefully they come up.
Yep.
Yeah, it should be worth about 10 gold pieces each. They would have 4 of them on their being as well. What kind of creatures they are. And they
if you want to add them, Madriel, because I'm going to give you 2 anyway. So.
Cool. 2 turns.
I think they'd also, based on just how well you've rolled, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Can you roll me a d12 as well again, Hannah?
5.
5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They would have like a bunch of like copper ore and like cotton cloth, probably worth about 5 silver pieces. You would have to sell it. If you just want to add,
What is it?
If you want to add a pound of copper ore to your inventory.
Ooh.
Okay.
You could. It's probably worth about 5 silver pieces. Not very much, but it's something you could trade off.
Mm.
And you think you probably get full value for these kind of trade goods?
£1 of copper ore.
Meanwhile, whilst you are going through the Jackal Ware's supplies, there's also a donkey here, by the way, who's just kind of like chill.
Oh, donkey hanging
The
out.
little
The
donkey.
donkey does not seem to give a fuck what's happened. Meanwhile, Nib is cowering away from you, Madriel. Barely able to keep eye contact. What do you do?
So I think after a minute or 2 of Madriel sitting there, and no one can see because she's turned away, but there are definitely tears rolling down her cheeks.
She's still got the mask on.
She's still got the mask on, but she then kind of stands up, takes a deep breath, steadies herself, removes the mask, places it down by her side, and then starts walking towards Nib, but she does it how she first walked towards Nib in the streets in Waterdeep, with her hands like down by her side but open, and with in one hand like a broken up ration where she's like eaten some of it already, and she stops, I think probably 5-10 feet from Nib, and sits down on the ground and just waits.
Can you do me a
And just says,
persuasion
"I'm
check?
sorry, Nib." Yeah. Persuasion. Only 10.
Nib looks nervous and is so frightened.
Yeah.
That she can't look at you. It's not a case of wanting to. It's in the back of Nib's mind, I imagine she thinks, this is the person I look up to most, the mother I never had, the sister I never had, and but then suddenly this dark form took upon you, this frightening form, and Nib, based on what little you know of Nib, Nib's story, Madriel, Nib is someone, all you know, your familiarity with. In fact, do a history check. Let's see how much you would know. How much Nib. No. Do a charisma check. I think that makes more sense based on how much Nib would reveal to you.
8.
Not much. Nib, as much as you know, is an orphan. Is you don't know how she was orphaned. You know that she has very much relied on Lil to get her through some hard times. But if you could tell what was going on the back of Nib's mind right now. She is pulling away and not wanting to at the same time, but it's almost a completely response that she can't control.
Madriel wouldn't get any closer. She'd just sit where she is and kind of like you would, again, with like a scared animal, like not stare at Nib or demand anything from her, just kind of slightly turn to the side and just sit and eat. But she'd lay out like she'd lay her backpack down and put the other half of the ration just sitting on the backpack towards Nib, but wouldn't say anything or do anything. She'd just sit there and sort of look sadly over towards the devastation that she wrought upon these things.
I think this would take some time. This is not something that's solved so quickly. Nib is quite traumatized from this. I think the next 4 or 5 hours. I mean, describe to me what Sapphire and Ruby do. I imagine Ruby would be getting rid of these bodies. Sapphire, I don't know if you can agree with me. I think Ruby would probably familiarizing herself with this donkey.
Yeah.
Ruby's the type who is always smiling, no matter the situation. But she's also not an idiot. She's not gonna intrude on this situation. She obviously knows something's bad. I think she would, at some point, maybe about 2-3 hours in, would sit down next to Nib. She's not necessarily going to say anything. I think Nib would definitely take some kind of comfort in this. Ruby is so optimistic, it's hard not to like her. And she'd look down and she would, like, put her arm not around Nib. She's someone who respects other people's personal space a lot, but she would put her hand sort of next to Nib or behind her, and she would just say, little one, I don't know about you, but it's times like these where my ma always used to say to me that well, life can be hard sometimes, and the only thing you can really do in all the craziness of the world's always like the hammer of Moradin. It's gonna beat you down. You're the anvil, and life is Moradin's hammer. And well, what you can really do, the anvil, you can't move. You're stuck there. You're really just expected to take it, to beat down. Can you really fight back at the end of the day? Not really. You're kind of just stuck here. But the anvil's really got to make the best of it, didn't it? And I think, well, my ma always used to say it in a funny way. She used to say, anvil! And I used to think, that's a funny word. And, well, if you're the anvil, then really, you just got to have a sense of humour about everything. And, well, when life gets scary, sometimes you gotta just laugh. And I gotta just look at Madriel here and thought, look ridiculous with those wings. And just starts laughing, like a big belly laugh. And can you do a quick charisma check for Ruby with advantage? Because Ruby is just, I want to, in fact, I'm gonna give, not with advantage, sorry Hannah, let me do this quickly, because I think it makes perfect fucking sense. I'm gonna adjust her fucking stat block, because I just think it makes sense for who Ruby is. I think Ruby would more likely have 16 charisma, because I think that makes way more sense for the kind of person she is. And I'm going to give her proficiency in persuasion, which means she would have proficiency score is, based off of that, is +2. So she would have a +5 in persuasion. So let me add that on. Yeah, give me a persuasion check for Ruby. 21. Nib is refusing to make eye contact with Madriel during this time, and it's really sort of turning into Ruby. But as Ruby's infectious laugh It's ridiculous, her laugh. It's really the kind of laugh that is annoying at first, but the more you hear it, it just kind of sticks in the back of your head. It's the kind of laugh where you would be sitting to yourself and you might feel alone and sad, and in the back of your head you just hear this little laugh that just reminds you that the world is maybe not as bad as it really is. And if someone can stay that positive in despite of so much negativity in their life, considerably, that it's hard not to laugh with. And you just see Nib just infectiously under her breath just lets out this little chuckle, and then her head is pulling back as she does, but she resists and moves ahead to look at Madriel. Describe to me how Madriel's looking at Nib at this point, please, Tom.
I think as Ruby sat with Nib and told her story, Madriel was like glancing more and more, stealing glances to the side towards them both. And then as the laugh comes through, I think Madriel was quite startled and almost like frowned because she's so caught up in the guilt of how she's made Nib feel. But then as she turns around to almost object in a protective way towards Nib and be like, just let her be as she is. She hears Nib's laughter, and it's like a dawn breaking across the horizon for her, and little tears come into her eyes, and she can't help but smile and laugh a little bit as well.
I think as that happens, Ruby kind of like pats Nib on the back, like that hand wavering, not willing to touch at first. The laughter brings a sense of like camaraderie, and she leans her hand in gently and slightly touches Nib on the back, as slightly as a dwarf can, and very hardy people. But she knows when to be gentle, and she kind of just almost beckons Nib on, and Nib kind of, a small stature, goes from this like sitting cross-legged, and she kind of sort of head down, not quite sure of herself, comes to you, Madriel, and just sort of falls to her knees slightly before you, and then just leans in to hug you.
Yeah, Madriel doesn't say anything, just grabs her in tight and gives her a hug.
And she just whispers in your ear, she says, I'm sorry for being scared.
Madriel just says, I was scared too. Thank you for coming back.
And she doesn't say anything, but tears are just lightly dripping down her face, and Lil just instinctively jumps from her shoulder to her head and jumps down to the other shoulder of Nib and jumps to your shoulder, Madriel, and just is just looking around, kind of a little bit confused at the situation, as a goldfinch might be, but is looking for kind of comfort in this thing, and just kind of lets out a few little tweets and song. It's like a little songbird like her might do. And time passes, and you're forced to rest for the evening. I think it doesn't really make sense to travel another hour at this point. The campfire is here, the bodies have been moved by Sapphire and Ruby, the hardier folk are willing to put up with the things. You've gathered your things, you've maybe spent some time with this donkey, Sapphire. Do an animal handling check for me. This donkey's pretty chill, but please.
8.
Do it with advantage, just because it is so chill. I was just about to say it, so I think it's more than fair.
14.
I think 14 is more than enough. This donkey's so relaxed, and I imagine maybe you pull out some of your rations, maybe gesture with an apple to this donkey, who kind of like enthusiastically is sort of going through it, and yeah, seems very sort of relaxed amongst the horses as well, who are more startled at what's going on. I think they're not. I think they initially probably would have run at the sound of Madriel's voice, but probably not far. I mean, these horses are not horses, but they're also sometimes the unknown is more scary than the familiar. For a beast of burden like them, they probably run 60 feet. I think Ruby and yourself, it would not take you long to sort of gather them and sort of back together.
Yeah.
Is there anything you would say to each other during this time? You've got really the evening to...
100%. Madriel, once everyone's settled a bit back down, would sit with everyone and just say, first of all, thank you for, and kind of looks at Ruby in particular, thank you for looking after Nib when I couldn't. In all honesty, I don't really understand what happened to me just now. I think maybe as with so many things, understanding the story of it might help, and it's not a long one. I haven't really fought much before. Occasional scraps in the street or standing up against bullies, and she sort of looks over and smiles at Nib. But these last few days have been quite a crash course, I suppose, and I'm eternally grateful that I've been able to do so with two such capable and enthusiastic warriors. But it feels like it's unlocking or uncovering something in me that perhaps mostly slept before. And she looks guiltily towards Nib.
Sapphire stops you for a moment. She says, don't feel like you have to tell us anything, Madriel. Of course, I'm not going to turn down an interesting story, but make sure you just tell us if you want to. There's no pressure here. And as for scary experiences, well, that's just something you get used to in this line of work. I'm glad we're here to explore that power awakening in you with you.
Sapphire is right. Yeah, don't need to doubt yourself. You're open up when you're ready, and well, as far as I'm concerned, you and little Nib here we've made quite a little team of ourselves, and we haven't known you long, but I make family and friends quickly, I tell you.
These last few days have been thoroughly interesting, at the very least, and I'll say that.
Maybe a better way is to say I should warn you.
I find that easy to believe. I'm grateful to have gotten the chance to know you both. I think don't know, and again she looks at Nib as she says that. I don't know for sure. I don't want to promise. I think maybe it's to do with using whatever my powers are for helping or hurting. I think I like the side of me where it helps a lot more than the one where it hurts people. So I just want to say, unless we're in dire need, which might happen, and I won't hesitate to protect you all if that's what's needed, but unless that's the case, I think I will stick to trying to channel my powers for healing.
You do what you feel is best, but I'll say don't shy away from power. The power is overall beneficial, even if it is directly harmful. By defeating these disgusting creatures today, they're not going to be able to hurt anyone else.
Right, you are, Sapphire.
And as Ruby says that, Nib kind of says, Can I say something?
Please.
Madriel, what happened was very frightening, but your healing is wonderful, and it makes me so proud to travel with you and me and Lil. But those creatures were trying to hurt us, and if your power can be used to do good, then I think it is something you shouldn't shy away from. She kind of she almost barely got the words out. She's like Lil is kind of dancing around her head at this point, kind of trying to comfort her, and clearly because it took a lot for her to say what she said.
Yeah. Young one's got the right idea. Looks over at you, Madriel.
Thank you, Nib. I am. You're right. She's holding her mask face towards her at the moment in her hands, looking down at it. I think I just need to. It's all growing quite quickly, and she touches her face where the extra cracks had formed and such. And I think now she'd noticed that there are quite extensive, almost like crow's feet, cracks around the edges of her eyes.
Definitely.
It's all quite fast. I just want to be careful. I think I need to keep a close eye on myself. But you're right. Thank you, Nib. She smiles, big smile at me.
We all trust you, Madriel. Even when things are scary.
Right you are, little one, and nothing wrong with being a bit careful. If I'd not been careful in my youth, well, I think I would have crushed my brother's skull with this hammer.
You were careful in your youth, Ruby? I don't believe it.
You'd be surprised, Sapphire.
I don't know.
Had to stay my hand a number of times. You should have seen how rubbish my brothers were in the training.
I mean, they were pretty rubbish, but careful. Don't think so. She hit so many bloody trees on the way.
She kind of winks and says,
Well, careful for me anyway, let's put it that way.
Pretty sure there was several buckets split in half as well.
Probably right, yes. Anyway, I'm just glad that I'm surrounded by a fire with friends, and, well, we're all trying to help people in our own way. Cheers to that.
and she brings out a little water skin, which probably is not full of water and probably full of ale. Let's be honest, it's Ruby.
To saving more people, and she does the same thing.
Nib kind of
To our
nods
destiny.
and she doesn't say anything, but just drinks a little bit of water from her water skin.
A shared purpose. Madriel holds hers up. Drink.
And Madriel, as you take the sip, your eyes flash for a moment, and the rest of you would see it just for a second. Her eyes kind of flash gold and just kind of flicker like continuously. And Madriel, you look up, and before you see the sight of the campfire before you. Sapphire to the left, Ruby straight in front, and Nib to your right. But your vision is then drawn up into the sky above. Just quickly. And as you sit there, your vision, just almost your chin, you feel it being pushed upwards into the sky. Before you, in the sky itself, two spectral figures seem to appear before you. The first, or both in fact, look like old men. The first on the left has long grey hair, an even longer beard, muscular in form, and his body seems to shift into a ethereal wind as it goes down. One of his eyes is completely covered with a dark eye patch, and in his hand he grips what looks like a gauntlet.
Oh.
Opposite him, though, is a man who is equally old and has much darker, sunken eyes. He has long white hair, a beard that comes around and meets it, almost like it never really disconnected from each other. He wears almost like a shattered old cloak. It's ruined and its ends kind of flay off in different ways. And in his hand, he grips a chain, upon the end of which sits a skull with glowing eyes.
Oh.
And in the centre, as you see these two figures, suddenly a spectral golden sword cuts down the centre of this image, and a light forms in the centre, and stepping out from it slowly as the light begins to expand from a single line to this oval shape. This figure with white golden wings, white robes, golden skin, and golden hair, with a large golden sword, stands before you and just walks towards you slowly, getting closer and closer until his face just looks directly at yours, your eyes meeting opposite each other, and suddenly the eyes stop flashing for the rest of you, and Madriel, the vision fades, and you look back down. There is no images in the sky anymore, and you're simply surrounded by your friends around the campfire. And with that, we will end today's session.
Not